Being a wife, but let me tell you something. Being a wife is making sure you have the soap powder. Being the wife is making sure you might throw those clothes in the washing machine. Being a wife is not coming to pick up your drawers after you. That is
Amen.
not.
Who said you had to pick up the drawers? That's what said y'all want to go. This is my point here with that. We always act like that's such a big thing. Like,
I know,
especially for the women. Wait a minute. Especially for the women that got kids. Y'all should be cleaning the house anyway. Y'all should be cooking anyway. So you cook.
Great catch. I'm a great wife. I'm a great this. And it's like that hasn't been validated.
All these single girls are yours too. I don't know.
The one thing that I'm seeing is that when you're dealing with a grown-ass man,
There it is.
he has a vision and a purpose for his life.
Thanks.
And what he wants in the future. And what I see is that a lot of these modern women don't want to fall into and play their part in that purpose and in that vision because they have their own purpose and their own vision.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure responsibility to motivate a man.
Right.
A man should have his own motivation, his own direction. Your job is to inspire. It's a complete difference. I think a lot of ladies get a man.
Man, welcome back to Kandid Konvos. I'm your host, Quay Price. We got Vince on deck. We got Chloe on deck. Say what's up to the people. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. All right. Shout out to all of y'all for joining us tonight. Shout out to YouTube and Facebook in the building. Let's do me a favor. If you're watching us right now, hit that like button for us. Hit that like button. Likes are free. Oh, yeah, somebody told us them likes be disrespectful. So y'all got to come with the likes tonight. Hit those like buttons for us. And also hit that share if you will. We want to get this content out to as many of our people as possible so that we can help change our trajectory as a whole. So definitely hit that like button, hit that share button. And also if you're out on the YouTube world over there, hit that subscribe. Like I said, shout out to y'all. I said our base is growing. We're getting more support. So shout out to y'all. You want to say something, Vince?
Good evening. Good evening.
What's going on with you, man? You all right?
Doing good.
All right, cool. All right, let's see who we got so far checking in early in the building. See, Donovan said, what up, though? Man, 313 in the building. Appreciate you checking in with us tonight, brother. Appreciate you. See Eva Wright in the building. She said the Wrights are in the house. What's going on, Eva Wright? Shout out to my guy, known in the streets as Mr. Wright. Shout out to him as well. Shout out to the Wrights in the building. All right, let's see what we got coming in. We got another ad. JR, is that you, man? What's going on, man?
So really good, yeah.
Doing well. How you doing, man?
I'm all good, thank you, yeah.
All right, cool. Just hit your mute for a minute. Yeah, we getting into the show. All right, cool. All right, shout out to Kenyatta in the building. She said, hey, everyone, what's going on, Kenyatta? We appreciate you, sis, holding us down every Wednesday night. I'm looking for Kenyatta. You've been slipping. It used to be Happy Wednesday. What's going on? What's going on? Kenyatta done switched up on me. Oh, man, shout out to y'all. Oh, we got a cut. Wait a minute, it's about to go down. We got IT in the building. What's going on? Let me say it all. Nicole, Arletta, Monique. Let me say it all. Shout out to IT in the building.
Where you been, sis? Where you been at?
Oh, she over there working. She grinding. She doing what she do. IT holding it down. All right, let me do this real quick while I'm thinking about it. So here's a link to join us on the panel. You can drop this in your Google Chrome, your Microsoft Edge. If you're coming into an Apple device, you got to use Safari. But yeah, drop this in your browser. Join us on the panel. You do have the ability to cut your camera off if you choose. We always encourage you to keep it on for better show, better engagement. Also help save on a little bit of that typing. In addition, we have this link in all of the chat feeds, so you can catch it at the Kandid Konvos page on YouTube or Facebook, or you can shoot me a message at Quay Price on Facebook, and I'll send it to you that way. So yeah, just let us know if you want to join us on the panel. We'll leave the link up here for a little bit as we get into the conversation, but we'll get it to you however we need to get it to you. All right, let's see. Kenyatta said just walked in trying not to miss the videos. Oh, no, you on time. You on time. No, you ain't missed nothing yet. All right. So I'm going to drop this link for a minute. Listen, anybody let me know if you need the link. We will definitely get it to you. All right, so I think we're going to get on into this one tonight. I think this one is going to go, it's going to go straight there. So topic for tonight. What is the purpose of dating? And question of the century. Let me run that back. Topic for tonight. What is the purpose of dating? Okay. So yeah, we got some videos tonight. First video, some familiar faces on the video. We got Tony Gaskins. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of Tony Gaskins. And we also have Ace Metaphor on the first video. Like I said, so both of these guys were on the Hardly Initiated podcast, so definitely check them out at Hardly Initiated. They got some good content, some good videos over there, so definitely check them out on YouTube. All right, so we're going to get on to video number one. Topic for the night: what is the purpose of dating?
And it comes from not actually, observing what we got going on. I observe what you have going on. But let me ask you this. What is the purpose of dating?
It depends on who you asking. My purpose, if you ask me specifically,
in the scope of society, in the scope of family, what is the purpose of dating?
For some people, for a large percentage of the people, the scope of dating, if you're being intentional, is to find a husband or wife.
Correct. So,
but let me ask you this question, a follow-up question. Is that the reason why everyone dates?
Is that the reason
why everybody dates? Is that the reason?
But what I'm saying is we shouldn't promote what the devil doing. We shouldn't promote what is disadvantageous. So if someone is dating for sex, if someone is dating for fun, us as people with a platform should be promoting what is going to benefit society, not what is going to confuse society. So Albert Einstein said you cannot solve a problem from the same level it was created. So having people who are dating, talking to people who are dating, someone who's dating can't help someone who's dating, because the goal of dating is marriage. So a married person can tell someone who is dating, this is what you need to look out for while you're dating. This is what you need to check off. This is what you need.
When the last time you've been actively dating multiple people? When the last time you actively been dating? Like not your wife, but you've been in a dating market.
This is what you have to understand.
No, so it's the question. You asked me a very direct question. I gave you an answer.
I'm answering you. I'm
okay,
answering
go ahead.
you now. Dating is principle based. It doesn't matter if it's 2023 or 1903. A relationship is based on principles, not the culture, not the trend, not the fad. Love does not change. Love stays the same because God is love and God does not change. Love is not contingent upon strip clubs and pornography and Instagram and social media. So the same way that my wife and I dated is the same way that people who will have a healthy marriage date today. But what you're trying to say is that we should date differently today because it's 2023. And that's not true, because a relationship is based on principles. So
now,
what
is that, let me, before you go forward, let me say this. I want to be very clear here. Specifically, I said people are not monolithic. Right now, you're bringing in God, devil, the Bible, and those are your particular principles. And I respect that, brother. I grew up religious too. I respect what you're saying. Dating, the main purpose of dating, it should be to find a mate. People shouldn't have sex before marriage. From the biblical perspective, I understand your perspective, brother, but I'm not going to dismiss your perspective simply because it doesn't align with mine or this person's or that person. I think the particular problem isn't me saying that your take is wrong. I respect it. I enjoy listening to your content, but to say how things should work for all people and dismiss everyone else that doesn't speak your particular alignment, to me, is irresponsible. And the reason I say that is because there are all sorts of people doing all sorts of things, loving all sorts of ways. And if you think that your way is the only way that works, brother, I commend you. I'm just saying there are people from all walks of life that need to hear other perspectives, either to solidify theirs or make them curious about another way that could work better for them. Brother, the one thing you said that was really interesting to me.
You're telling me who you're working for.
You said what?
You're telling me who you're working for.
And that's why a lot of people, look.
But meaning you telling
when you say that, what you're saying,
you're working to provide a platform for all of the voices, for all the different types of people, because people are not a monolith. So right. the voices that you are giving a platform to have no success if they are not in a healthy relationship.
I just told you that there are.
Okay. So, topic for the night: what is the purpose of dating? All right. Once again, shout out to Tony Gaskins and Ace Metaphor. I'm sure you guys have seen Ace on. I think it's Tonight's Conversation is his platform. So the gentleman was having an interesting conversation around the purpose of dating and some of these other things that's going on. Just in preparation for this show, I posted about this. I want to see if I can bring it up just for some of the. All right, so I posted about this. So this was some of the answers that I got back. So one person said it's an interview. Another person said to find a potential partner. Somebody else said it's supposed to be to find a life partner, but somebody else said some people are dating just to have fun. Somebody said to confirm or deny compatibility. That's it. That's all. Another person said getting to know you all about you, or getting to know all about you. Somebody else said free meals for some of them. And then another person says, show you why being single is not so bad, to show you your tolerance levels. All right. So these are just some of the responses that I got back when I posted about it. So, I wanted to have this conversation because I think, once again, here's another situation where we are, I can only say it one way. We all over the place. Yep. So let me start it out like this. Let me go to the panel. Let's let anybody drop a comment on this wheel. What is the ultimate purpose? Just keeping it a buck. What is the ultimate purpose for dating somebody? Anybody, just come off mute. Say what you want to say. I see you off, Chloe. You want to say something?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that Tony kind of covered off on it. Ultimately, we are dating, or this is the purpose. See, here's the thing. This is the purpose. We can recycle it. We can adjust it. We can add to it. We can take away from it. But the real purpose of dating is to find someone that's going to be our partner in life. That's going to be our and I know partner has unfortunately taken on a bad connotation these days because of the way we use it. But really, no, someone who we plan to walk through life with, someone who we plan to spend life with and do life with. That is the purpose of dating. And I know that sometimes we interchange dating and courting, and that whole thing gets murky. But at the end of the day, we are supposed to be out here because we're actually interested in finding someone that we want to be with, that we want to build a legacy with, that we want to, the goal is to spend a lifetime with this person. That's the goal. That is the ultimate goal. Of course, we know that that is not necessarily what's happening. We know that people are dating for fun. People are dating for entertainment. People are dating for free meals. Like there's a whole, people are dating for sex. Like there's a plethora of reasons why people are dating. And I get that. That's why I think this conversation was so great, right? Because it really represents two different mindsets, right? You have this more modern take on dating, and then you have the more traditional take on dating. And I'm of the unpopular opinion that there really is only one take. And yes, it's going to fall under the traditional bucket because at the end of the day, even if you don't believe in God and you don't believe there is a God, how do you set a moral standard then? If you don't believe that there's a God that sets a moral standard for you, then where do you get your moral standard and moral code from? You just make it up as you go. How are we able to know what's right and what's wrong if we just kind of whatever we feel like doing whenever we feel like doing it? This nation was actually founded on Christian principles. Now, have we held fast to those principles? That's debatable. But it was indeed founded on Christian principles. And we're not the only nation that was. Now, you can go back and say whatever you want to say about it, but that was the original intention when we were established as a nation. So a lot of our laws, basically are graduation of the Ten Commandments. Like people need to understand that's what it is. So you can believe in God or not believe in God, but at the end of the day, this is where our moral code and this is where our standard comes from. So if you out here just dating to have sex, you're in violation. And that just is what it is. And people don't want to hear it. And that's okay. At the end of the day, you have free will. You can do whatever you want. But just know there is a right and wrong. And yes, you are supposed to be dating to find your person. That's really the only reason why you're supposed to be doing it. So if you're doing anything other than that, you're in violation. Period.
Okay. Straight like that, straight like that, straight like that. Oh man, you want to say anything, Vince? Are you good, man?
I just want to give another perspective. I think dating, it depends on what you want your outcome to be. And I think that's the problem with people going to situations and they don't know what their outcome is going to be. Now, we have confused the definition of dating and courting, two totally different things. That's like being married and not being married. It's not the same thing. Our grandparents didn't date. Our great-grandparents didn't date. They were intentional from the beginning. They didn't date for 3, 4, 5 years and living together and all that. They found somebody and within probably 6 months to a year, they were married. Then they dated. And I heard somebody, and I really didn't understand this. He said, dating is stupid. You date when you're married. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Don't you need to know the person? Don't you need to? And he said, you know everything you need to know about somebody in 6 months if you pay attention and if you're intentional. So you date when you're married because then there's the commitment. Then you're binding together under God. So, and then I also believe marriage is not for everybody because I did marry older And I have to be honest, if I didn't want more kids, I probably wouldn't have got married. And yes, I would have dated. And, I do come from a Christian background. So, yes, that does mean living in sin. Just going to be honest.
I got you.
But there was no value at 45 years old if I didn't want any kids to get married. I didn't really see the purpose. I had built my success. If I just wanted somebody to go out with every now and again and spend some time with, that's what I would have did. I married for legacy and family. Now, I didn't particularly know, it wasn't a guarantee that I was going to have more kids, but everything was working properly, so there was a good chance.
Man, come on, man.
So I do believe that the problem with the whole thing is that we're not intentional in the beginning. I think if men were more intentional in the beginning and wouldn't lie just to try to have sex. Because I hate when people say, well, if you're dating, that don't mean you're having sex. Yeah, it is. You're having sex eventually. And I think that's where it gets murky. I think that's where the problem comes in, is that we're not intentional with what we're doing. But I don't believe everybody should get married, especially if you already did it wrong and had a couple kids and you're 30 or 40 years old. Your person probably gone. So
yeah. Okay. No, I hear that right there. So let me ask this. Actually, let me go down to JR. JR, you want to say anything, or you good right now, man?
Yeah, no, I'm good. They both covered a lot of things. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you. So let me ask this. So first of all, I think part of the issue is everybody has a different version, right? So everybody has a different version of what was original. I mean, what I mean by that is typically, what I'm saying, when you were courting, dating, however you want to define it in that context, you were doing that to, like Chloe said, find your partner, find your wife, find your husband, but essentially this person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, create your family, create your legacy, and move forward until your last days, right? So that was the original concept. But then we take it and then we massage it, right? So now we got people dating for recreation. We got people dating for, somebody to keep some company. We got people dating for free meals. We got, people dating for funsies. Like, we got all type of stuff wrapped up in there. And I wonder sometimes, have we not figured out that just because you redefine the original concept does not mean that you're going to get the same results that the original concept yielded. Yes, like we keep trying to twist things and trying to modernize things and do all of this nonsense and then think that we're going to get the same type of result. And it's like, that's not how that works. It's never worked that way. Yep, and like I said, just seeing this video, it got me thinking about this whole situation and just thinking about some of the context, that I see out here and some of the conversations, that I'm in out here. It's like, we'll sit down and say that, the ultimate purpose of dating or courting, if you will, is to find your husband, wife, find your companion. But then at the same time, we will talk about all the things that we won't do. So we don't want to cook and clean. The fellas don't want to do housework around the house. The fellas don't want to fix cars. The fellas don't want to provide. But then we out here dating. So it's like, if you out here dating and at the end of the day that the end goal in dating is to find your person, then how are you going around talking about what you're not going to do before you done found your person? And that's why I say I can tell we all over the place. Yeah, because you can't sit here and talk about all these things that you don't want to do or don't want to conform to because they're traditional. but then you want to follow the traditional process of dating to find your husband or your wife. Yeah, that don't make sense. It contradicts. And that's why I say I know that a lot of folks in a lot of these situations, they don't even truly understand why they're going through this dating process. Let me get some of these comments, then I'm gonna come over to you, Joe. Hold tight, Joe. Let's see, Janine. Shout out to Janine Martin in the building. She said to learn each other, to build the friendship that's needed for building trust, honesty, respect, and loyalty, the key components to take things to the next level. No doubt. No doubt. No, I appreciate that comment right there. See, Kenyatta said the client told me that being married at 20 is too young, but yet has babies. Ooh. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic right there, Kenyatta. Yeah, somehow that piece always manages to. That's a whole nother conversation right there. But she said, I asked the question, it's okay to have babies, but not okay to be married. She said, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation right there, Kenyatta. I've asked that question as well. That piece right there always manages to be there for some reason. Let me come over to Joe. Joe, do you want to say something real quick, man? Are you good?
Yeah. I think the reality is that people want to have their cake and eat it too. That's basically it. They want to call. I'm trying to say, what was I thinking about before? It's kind of like people who go to church, and they play the role of going to church. They play the role of it, and they turn around and go start drinking the same day they just got out of church, or they start smoking weed or doing things. They want to use the things that was meant for, like you guys said, a higher purpose, which I think everyone does know to some degree what dating and courtship really means and how they're interchangeable now, but people know what its actual purpose is. So it's kind of like you're doing it, but in the back of your mind, you have other intentions, you have other motives, and they're not of the higher purpose of what dating is supposed to be. So you're using the word dating. It's like someone who wears a Jesus piece around their neck, but they're cussing and swearing and doing all types of things, but they love God and they supposedly represent God. So they're using the symbolism of what dating is supposed to represent, which everyone is aware of, but they're twisting it in a way so it fits whatever purpose that they want it to be at that time, while still using the original terms for what it was originally intended for, which is to lead towards marriage. And then you have a lot of guys who will say they're dating as a sort of like a euphemism. Oh, I'm dating, and giving other people the impression that they're looking for their one, but in the interim, they're going through multiple ones, literally. So it's like convincing themselves they're doing something that they're not really doing, and convincing others. So it's almost like a social pact, or some sort of thing where socially it looks good. I'm dating someone, but behind the scenes they're running through women, or women are sleeping around with other guys. That's really what they're doing. But they don't want to say what they're really doing. They'll say dating as opposed to sleeping around. They'll say dating as opposed to looking for food dates. They'll say dating as opposed to I'm just using this guy for his resources and not giving him anything, no affection in return. They'll say dating as a way to mask what their true intentions are. And that's what the majority of people do. Outside of the very few individuals, like the guy on the left who was breaking it down, he said, well, this is what I did. And then the guy on the right was like, yeah, well, so the guy on the left was using the term dating appropriately. The guy on the right, and he's representative of millions of people who think of what dating is. He's using it inappropriately, but it's like they're hijacking the word itself and what its original intent was supposed to be. So
No, I get that.
people are
I
just
get
not
that
honest.
right there. Yeah, I get that right there. No, that makes sense. Let me get this comment. Shout out to J.U. Griffin in the building. He says some use dating to get married benefits without making the marriage commitment.
Yeah, pretty much what I said.
So let me ask this. So are we just dealing with a situation that people like the sound of traditional, but they don't want to live traditionally? Yeah, was that just what this comes down to? Because that's how it's starting to sound to me. Yeah, it sounds like we want to represent or we like the concept of tradition, but then we want to live modern. So we want to move however we want to move, do all the stuff we know we shouldn't be doing, but then we want to somehow guise it under tradition, right? So we want to say we're dating with intention, but as we see, people out here just sexing and doing whatever they're doing, dating for funsies and all this type of nonsense under the guise of traditional dating or traditional courting. Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. Shout out to this comment right here. Appreciate that, J.U. Griffin. Let's see. IT said yes. Okay. Well, I see y'all co-signing. Let me I saw you come off. You want to say something, Chloe? You good? Oh, my bad. What'd you say, Joe?
So that guy on the left, he asked a question. I don't know maybe someone can explain it to me. I think I know what he's meaning, what he meant by it. But he said when the guy on the right was saying something, then the guy on the left said, you're telling me who he said you're telling me who you're working for.
Right.
And I think I know what he's saying, but I don't even think the guy on the right caught it. He just kind of I think he missed it.
Yeah, so he misunderstood it. So that's what happened. So I think what Tony was saying was essentially you're working. I'll sum it up this way: you're working for the modern mindset. Yeah, you're working for the. Yeah, you're working for the folks who are trying to live outside of tradition and trying to live outside of what's right. That's what he meant. Now I know what Ace thought he meant. Ace thought he meant that he was working for the devil. That's what Ace was thinking. But Tony was basically telling him that essentially you working for the opposition. So all of the folks who out here wilding, out here at the strip club every other night, talking about they, straight and narrow, like he was talking about that thing. He was talking about the fact that Ace, on his show is giving a platform to that. If he's given a platform to that mindset, he's given a platform to that lifestyle. And he's not truly giving a platform to the folks who speak against those things or speak in support of the traditional mindset in the nuclear family. So I know, so that was the disconnect. But I mean, I think Ace knew what it was, but he was going to try to play that angle. It is what it is. Let me throw a continuation on there because I said the conversation went on. So I'm going to throw a continuation on it.
Marriage. How can someone give relationship advice that leads to a successful marriage if they are not married?
So the answer to the question is, if that person's individual goal is marriage. I want to first say that. If that person's individual goal is marriage, that's one thing. And for that being said, there are people, to Tony's point, that have navigated that course and can give better insight if the goal is to be married. And you can look to their track history. This is why we have married people on our panel. Okay. But not everybody's goal in dating is marriage. Brothers, for every one person that's dating to try to find marriage, there's 3 or 4 people dating just to find themselves. There's 4 or 5 people dating in an experimental way. There's 6 or 7 people dating just to distract themselves from a heartbreak. So not everybody that's out here dating is dating to be married. And some people are dating just for fun. They're dating from a recreational sense. We can up here on this podcast say, in a perfect world, everybody would be dating for marriage. But this world ain't perfect. Most of your listeners have been led on or misled or time has been wasted on somebody they thought was intentionally dating, but that person was just recreational or experimental dating. So my point is, yes, if the goal is marriage and 2 people link and both of their goals are united as marriage, yes, a spiritual path for that and spiritual advice is a good place to start. Somebody like Tony will be a great place to start. But getting to a person and finding a person and avoiding people that are not there to get you there is also a path too. And there are people that have been in this dating situation so long that they know how to recognize red flags a little bit better than people that haven't. And so those people have a voice too, and those people reach people too. So for us to act like we live in this idealistic world where everything is how it should be, and we're not dealing with a whole bunch of BS in this dating situation, I just think is out of touch for real.
Now let me say this, because it's some people in the chat now that's a little worried. The thing is, both of y'all are leaders in the space, regardless of who likes what. Both of y'all got millions of.
Man, that man told me to take some bass out of my voice, and that crossed the line to me.
Listen, Ace,
that was crossing the line.
Crossing the line when you got the bass in your voice, bro. You hear what I'm saying?
Bro, I always got bass in my voice.
Listen,
Guys,
I really don't want to have to end this conversation.
Keep the love.
Because I do got just one more question. Because like I was saying,
I feel like that was unprofessional. It really was.
Hey, stop with the gaslighting. It was unprofessional with you yelling. So we having a conversation.
Fellas.
And what you got to realize is what I'm telling you is, I understand.
Yo, have you seen any of my videos, bro?
Yes, I've seen your videos.
How do I do my videos?
What did I say?
Wait, fellas, I don't want to get too caught up in the conversation about this, because
that's what I try to tell y'all though. This is what I try to tell y'all. If y'all want to bring Ace on here, let Ace come on here and talk. If you bring me on here, let me talk. Because I don't, where God bring clarity, the devil bring confusion. All this is,
there you go again, bro.
More people. And so I stand on what I stand on, bro. I draw a line in the sand. You trying to placate to everybody and their mama. I don't care about what this lifestyle, that lifestyle. I'm focused on what's better for the people. And one thing that I see is that a 2-parent household with healthy love is always going to be a child's choice if they have a choice. If they forced to be with one parent, then they will accept that. But if they get to choose, they're going to say, I want 2 parents in the home, exemplifying love, supporting me. I could talk to this parent about this. I could talk to that parent about this. Life is not about doing what makes us feel good and what we want. Life is about purpose, and it's about doing what hurts sometimes. Life is about doing what we have to do, not what we want to do. Do you think as a man that I just want? It's not that I just want to be with one woman. I have to die out to myself. I have to crucify my flesh for the good of my family, for the good of society, for the betterment of the world. So yes, somebody may want to just hook up. Somebody may be dating to heal. But when they want to do that, we need to be there to say, hey, you should not be dating to heal. You need to heal before you deal. You should not be dating to just hook up, because you are having sexually transmitted diseases, and you can catch a physically transmitted disease that alters your life. So it's not about just giving a platform. Not everybody want to live life legally, but we don't need to give a platform to people who want to live illegally.
Okay. So that was a little bit extra right there. So go ahead, Chloe. I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
First of all, I don't understand if people be paying attention. Like, I don't think people pay attention to what they're saying. People are dating because, they want to heal. People are dating because, they're trying to get over another person. People are dating for recreation. All of those reasons are why there's piss in the dating pool. You're saying this stuff and you think, and this is no dig at him, right? We're not talking about him as a person. We're talking about the mindset. Because what he's saying is true. There are people that are doing all of those things that he said. So there's nothing incorrect about what he said. Everything that he said was absolutely accurate. The problem is that's the issue. That's why there's pee in the dating pool. Because people are bringing all of that junk into the dating pool. They're dating with trauma. They're dating unhealed. They're dating just for recreation, have a screwed up mindset about it. They're dating just for free meals. The reasons why you're doing it are wrong. And that's why there's piss in the dating pool. That's why.
That's
The
real.
way we think of dating, when we have a more traditional mindset of dating, is not outdated. It's not antiquated. It's tried and true. You don't go buy a classic vehicle and say it's outdated. You don't look at it that way, right? Because
I like
those things get more valuable as they age. But for some reason, we think that we are supposed to adapt. Like he said, dating is based off principles. A successful relationship is based off principles. And those principles don't change. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. If you stick to those principles, those are a strong foundation for you to build a relationship off of. When you try to build a relationship off of what y'all trying to build relationships off of, that's why they're failing. That's why they're failing. And you want to know why there's so much divorce. You started that relationship off wrong anyway from the very beginning. And that's what people are not understanding. They're not understanding that this was such a powerful conversation because it was the two different mindsets coming together, right? And that's why it was so powerful. We need to have those conversations where people are on the opposite side, because what Ace is saying represents a large population of people.
Right.
It's valid. And then what Tony is saying represents the more of the minority of people. But just because it's the minority doesn't mean that it's wrong. Somebody has figured something out. Because there's still a lot of successful marriages that have not ended in divorce. So somebody has figured something out. And I don't understand how you think that you can get that from somebody who hasn't achieved that. I'm sorry. This may be unpopular opinion. Y'all can feel however y'all want to feel about it. But a single person that has not been successfully in a relationship for an extended period of time, and maybe something went wrong, but if you have no track record, if you have no successful track record, I just don't understand what you could tell me that I can really get from you about how to do this the right way. You could tell me some things, but are they accurate? Do they work? What are your results? Have you tried them? So we can spend this any type of way you want to spend it, but it's about the actions. It's about the results. And if you don't have results, I mean, what are we even talking about?
Okay. Let me go to JR and I'm gonna come to IT. I saw IT hop on, so I know she must want to say something. Go ahead, JR.
Yeah, I just want to ask Mr. a question about the two guys, right? So I think you said the guy's name is what, Tony Gaskins, is it? And Ace Metaphor, right? So so you said obviously one speaking on successful part, one speaking obviously on the successful part, right? So if we also assign a male and a woman on each of the guys, who's leading which?
Wait, say that again, man. I didn't catch that. Say that again.
So Tony is speaking on the successful part, right? This obviously you're meant to do things the right way,
right?
And Ace is obviously speaking obviously on the current state that we're in today, which is obviously the negative part. Tony the positive part. So I'm saying if we assign a male and a female, sorry, obviously a man and a lady, to each, to Tony and to Ace, which gender are you assigning to Tony? Which gender are you assigning to Ace?
I don't know how to answer that one, man. You said so which gender are we assigning to which person? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because one's successful, one's not successful, right? So I'm saying if we assign a male and a female, to Ace and one to Tony, which one are you going to assign to Tony? Which one to Ace?
Are y'all
I
getting
don't
it?
know if I understand the question, man. So are you saying
Can you
that we're
reframe it?
assigning the go ahead, Joe.
No, I was asking, can you reframe the question?
Say that again, sorry, Joe.
I said, can you reframe the question in a slightly different way?
Okay.
Because I kind of missed it.
Okay. So Tony is speaking on a positive side. Ace is speaking on a negative side, right? So one successful, one is unsuccessful, right? So I'm saying if we assign a man and a woman to Tony and Ace, which gender are you going to assign on a positive? Which gender are you going to assign on a negative?
See, I don't
are you
know.
saying?
Go ahead, Chloe.
No, I guess I'm trying to. Are you saying that looking at the dynamic that we have right now, which gender fits either side?
Basically, yeah, sounds like that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that's challenging.
Isn't it interchangeable in a way?
Yeah, it really can be. It really
It can
depends on the
be,
situation.
because Tony, from my recollection, years ago when I looked at this guy, he was the guy on the right that he's talking about. He was him. Like
because I don't know him, you see.
Yeah, so his history, not the I mean, I think it kind of matters because he's speaking as if he's always been like he's always been that way. So he's talking about, he's speaking like talking of the enemy. He's like, yeah, I get it. He changed, but he's in a place where he changed, but a vast majority of people haven't. So he's in a space where he used to be where the other guy used to be, and the majority of people used to be. But it took him hundreds of dates and hundreds of women for him to get to the point where, okay, I'm going to date intentionally for marriage. And for some people, they can get it on one shot. And for the vast majority of people, it's maybe the 10th try, the 20th date, the 100th date. And for him, I think it's something like 300. This guy was, he was, that's why I was like, this guy looked familiar to me because he's talking as if he's, so it's when you say which gender would you assign which one to, I guess I don't think it's about some man. I don't know, man. Some men would feel like they are they would take that position, which I agree with, and you can say that's a masculine position. But then you also have a lot of guys who take the opposite. But then you have some women who think like the guy on the left, who think like Tony, who talks exactly like him. So it's not necessarily a masculine or a feminine or a male or female difference. Because I know women who have higher principles and who hold to those same principles that he's talking about. And they're the ones that's kind of like holding the man to that standard of, I want to get married. And sometimes it's the vice versa. It's the man. For example, I guess you could say Russell and Sierra. He was the one that said we're not having sex before marriage. But in some cases, it's the woman who's setting that standard.
So Joe, let me do this. Let me do this, Joe, because I said shout out to Shantae in the building. She said he's asking what gender would you say they acting like? Who's the male and who's the female? Is that right, JR? Is that what you asked?
Kinda, yeah. If he says gender.
Is he still there? You still there,
Asking
JR?
what gender would you say they're acting like?
Well, let me do it like this, because I said I don't understand the question. Let me do it like this. So where are you going with it, JR? Tell us where you're going with it.
So basically, what I was gonna say was, on Tony's side, obviously, I was just going off what Tony said. Right? I don't know anything about him. First, I've seen him, right? So, so what I was saying was, there's a few men leading a few good women on Tony's side, and there's the majority of the women are leading majority of the men on that side. Hence why, when they're talking about the whole marriage thing, a lot of people aren't ready for marriage, because if a lot of guys were able to lead, then a lot of guys would understand what Tony is saying, not what Ace is saying, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I kind of get that. So essentially you saying, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're saying because some of these men are not playing their position in leading, then the traditional route or traditional priority is not essentially, yes, it's not there like it should be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So basically, on Tony's side, there's a few people that are doing the right way. On Ace's side, there's a lot of people that are doing the wrong way. So what I'm basically trying to say is it's that the women are leading on Ace's side. So which then means that the sexual intercourse or whatnot is dictated by the lady. The traditional roles or whatnot is dictated by the lady. Hence why a lot of people aren't getting married or aren't ready for marriage, as a few people have stated.
Okay, I think I got what you're saying. Okay, so you speaking more to the modern mindset and who dominates essentially that modern mindset space that is affecting us today. Okay, I got you. Let me get one of these comments real quick. Shout out to Mike Harris in the building. He said we are no longer taught how to be married, starting with late Gen X, and has gotten worse with every successive generation. Yeah, no doubt. And I think it is, just to respond to this comment, I think it is because, man, a lot of us don't even value marriage, man. If I can keep it basic, a lot of us don't even value marriage. Yeah, some of the stuff that I see out here today and some of these conversations that I'm in, I hear, I'll tell you one that I just heard earlier today. And it was, this whole, I continue to hear it, this whole slavery thing. Yeah, we have young ladies in the mindset that being married to a man is somehow comparable to slavery. Whoa. And I'm still struggling to understand that. Yeah, but I think that they're, making the comparison to cooking a meal and cleaning a house as slavery. And sometimes I wonder if we actually asked somebody that actually existed during that time, are those equal? What would they say? Yeah, but we actually got a chance to ask somebody who lived in bondage. Do they think that cooking and cleaning in 2024 with a Swiffer, Sweeper, and all this other stuff we got, dishwashers and all this stuff, do they think that what goes on today as far as cooking and cleaning is comparable to what was going on with somebody who's being oppressed? And I'm willing to bet money that they would say no. But the fact that we in our minds have told ourselves that taking care of a home, cleaning a home, and cooking a meal for a family is somehow comparable to slavery is beyond me. Yeah, but that's the type of stuff that I see. That's the type of stuff that's going on in these conversations. And I say, when I hear something like that, I know that people do not value marriage. You're taking a step further. I don't even know if people value successful marriage and family anymore. Yeah, we got so many broken families out here now. It's like I can tell that we don't value this stuff like we used to. Yeah, but this stuff was our foundation. I think that's the bad part. This stuff was our foundation. Yeah, this was the stuff that essentially gave us the platform to build off of to get a lot of us to where we are today. Yeah, but this is the same stuff that we are now frowning upon. Yeah, I can go ask grandma. She ain't calling cooking and cleaning slavery. Yeah, grandma used to look forward to getting her cook on, her little ham hocks, her little greens and all that little stuff she was cooking, her little sweet potatoes and all that. She used to look forward to that because that process brought the family together. Got everybody to the table at one time. Everybody could check in with each other, have a conversation, eat good, and go away in good spirits. But now we want to call that slavery. Yeah, we talk about, see situations of couples and walking into their home and the home is clean. And we know how that makes us feel when you step into somebody's house and it's clean. But now we want to classify that as slavery. And that's what I'm saying. When I hear these types of things and I hear this type of mindset, this is why these things get worse and worse generation after generation. Yep, and we continue, because of that, we continue to lose sight of the things that made us powerful. Yeah, being married, having strong families, working together. Yep, having each other's back. You know what, the concept of the village raising the kids. Like, we just done lost all of that. And then we wonder why our relationships are in disarray or they non-existent. Yeah, we wonder why folks are divorcing left and right. Yes, I mean, we just got to sit down and look at what we're doing, and it'll explain what we see today. Let me get some of these comments, and we'll come back to the panel. Kenyatta said it's a cop-out. Yeah, no, it's definitely always some copping out and some tapping out going on in there, Kenyatta. See, Brian Willis, shout out to Brian Willis in the building. He said that was Gen X. Okay. We're going to make sure we're going to specify that. Let's see, Shantae said, I had to get out of that. As soon as I heard marriage, I heard baseboards. I'm delivered now. Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on. What's she saying?
Goes, burp, burp, burp.
Wow. Is that what it is, Shantae? Baseboards. All right. I'm going to leave that right there. Let's see. Brian Willis. Let's see. He said, that's exactly my point. They have to skip Gen X and go to the baby boomer Gmail. Okay. I got you. Y'all said, Brian gonna make sure y'all don't get these wrong. All right. Let me check in with Nicole. I didn't know if she had something to say. I saw her pop on. You good, Nicole? You good right now?
I'm good right now.
Okay. All right, cool. So let me ask this. I got another question. So based on that second video, let me get y'all opinion on something, because this is another hot item right now. I see it. I've been seeing it for the last couple of days. So somebody who is looking to get married, who should they be taking their advice from? Should it be somebody married? I'm gonna spin it up a little bit. Should it be somebody married, or should it be somebody divorced?
Both.
It's both. Yeah, I'm about to say it's both the answer. You ain't say no exclusions.
I'm gonna let y'all say y'all piece. So you gotta sell me. Why the divorced or why the married? Sell me. What's better?
Divorce will I think discussions about what went wrong, some things to avoid or some things to work through. And especially, I mean, I can't speak for every generation, but for the millennials, from what I see, I mean, we need a lot of help with conflict resolution. We give up too easy. So I think some conversation around that will help. Like, hey, you can't, as soon as y'all disagree on what to have for dinner, you can't just go out the house and cheat and then don't come back. Like, we're not doing that.
Y'all swear somebody cheating out here. Y'all swear somebody cheating out here. Dang.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I'm just saying, you can't just go out and cause a riot because you ain't get your way. Like, that's no.
I got you. So let me keep going. So yeah, that's the question. Who should you be taking your advice from if you're looking to be married? Should it be somebody married or somebody divorced? Go ahead, Vince. I saw you come off.
I think it's both. I think you need to take advice from somebody who's happily married and somebody who has been accountable in their divorce.
Okay.
I think you could take advice from people who are miserably married, and I think that you can take advice from people who are bitterly divorced. I think in both situations they need to be accountable and heal, because you learn, with the divorced person, you know that you maybe can learn the red flags of things you need to be looking out for. And with the happily married couple, it's kind of the same thing, because I've been both. So, when you're looking to be married, I did only listen to people who are married, though, who I thought were happily married.
Right. Okay.
Because I didn't know many divorced people that were accountable and took accountability for their divorce. It was she didn't do this or he didn't do that. So.
Okay. No, I appreciate that right there. So, okay. So I hear what y'all saying. I saw you come off. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I just love the way Vince broke that down. The specific type of married person and the specific type of divorced person. I had that conversation with my pastor, who's twice divorced and just got married for the third time. And to most people, they would say, well, why would you listen to someone who's been divorced twice before, especially someone who's a pastor of all people? And his advice was just spot on. I mean, the things he was saying was like, it seemed like he comes from both sides of the spectrum, as opposed to one that's overly idealistic and one that's overly pessimistic. He's experienced both sides, so he can kind of give you, okay, these are the things. And just like Vince said, he didn't speak ill of his wives, of his past wives. He was like, this is what I did wrong. This is how I overcame it. These are the issues I dealt with. And that's extremely rare. Someone who's actually gone through that trauma of being divorced and then coming out on the other end saying, well, this is the role I played in that. And so in that, he was able to give me a lot of great wisdom and advice that I don't recall anyone that I've met that was divorced that was able to give it to me the way he did it. So, but you would have to have gone through what he went through in order to give it. So do you want to also take advice just for someone who's been happily married? Absolutely. But then it's like, okay, everyone knows everything's not all sunshine and roses, because things happen within the course of a marriage that they might not even be aware of to tell you about, but you're going to go through it because you didn't have that wisdom from someone who's been on the other side. So, yeah, I think Vince's answer was just spot on, because someone who's not been married and who's single.
Okay. So I feel that. So now I got a follow-up question. Let's see. You guys answered exactly how I thought you would.
Never.
So if that's the case, so you guys, we got multiple answers. We got, so you need to listen to somebody who's been married, somebody who's been divorced, somebody's took some accountability in their divorce and so forth. So if that's the case, then why do we listen and take our advice from so many single people?
I can answer that one right quick, because they pander to our feelings.
Ooh-wee.
That's it. That part, then.
They don't want to offend.
And
they're in the same boat that we in. Well, not we, because I'm married, but they're in the same boat as other single people. So I get it all the time. I'm the only married one in my friend group, and they don't want to listen to me, but they'll listen to somebody who can't never get it right.
Right. So So to your point, Vince. So where do you think that's coming from, right? Because the reason I asked that question, I wanted to see what you guys were gonna say. So you said exactly what I thought you were gonna say. But then if I watch us in action out here, and I'm not just speaking, particularly to the panel per se, but if I watch us in action, we listen. I'm gonna mute you for a sec, Vince. I got a little feedback. If I watch us in action, we listen to a lot of single folks. Yeah, so we listening to the Derek Jacksons. We listening to I think even Ace Metaphor, he's single. So we listen to him. I'll just, I'll use his show for a minute. We listen to Trip Fontaine. We listen to Keita. We listen to all these single people. And we take that as the advice, for folks who want to be in a relationship. So I just always have wondered, who should folks really be listening to? Yep. Should it be folks that have achieved what you're trying to achieve, or should it be these single folks out here who doing, to your point, Vince, who doing the pandering, who's selling out arenas and everything else? Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead.
Well, even with the good brother Kevin Samuels, he was single. That's been divorced, but he was single. But I think he took accountability for his actions, and he wasn't necessarily talking about marriage. He was more talking about getting prepared as an individual for success. Wasn't necessarily about marriage. So I think the problem is that people want to feel good. People don't want to know the truth. I have so many people that I want to say, you knew that fool was married when you met her. You knew he didn't want to be married when you met her. You knew your baby daddy was goofy when you met him. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear, yeah, girl, you was young, and we was all young at one time. We all made that problem. We was all young. We was all stupid. And still stupid at 50 years old. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, ain't no good men out there. I want to tell them, well, you need to go where those type of men are. You can't go to that little hole you go to every now and again. But people don't want to hear that. They want to hear something that's going to make them feel good. They want to feel like, you know what, it's not me. That's what they, it's not me, it's them. That's what people want. Oh, I don't need to go to the gym because I'm 400 pounds. Oh, it's not me. I'm gonna find somebody who loves this 400 pounds, and he gonna make 6 figures and be 6 feet and be handsome. Or dude, I'm broke and I got 7 kids and I'm on child support, but I want somebody who look like Beyonce, who go cook and clean for me, and who gonna do all that. People want to live in their delusion.
Yeah, no, that's real.
It's sad, really. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Isn't it kind of like when someone listens to the advice of someone who's we all have had someone in our family who has this sage advice on money and resources, but yet they're always the brokest people around. But then you have people like Bill Gates who might not say anything. It's kind of like those who are successfully doing something, they rarely speak about the things that they're doing because they're busy doing it. They're achieving it, they're successful at it. But then those who aren't successful in that thing that they're talking about, they have all the time in the world to run their mouth about it. And so they develop the charisma to do it, the passion. They have this idealistic goals of how to get rich when they're broke, how to be successful in a marriage when they're single or they've had multiple failed relationships. They have all these theoretical ideas that sounds good on paper, and they know how to sell it better than those who are actually living it successfully and doing it the right way. And so it's a lot of it's personality, charisma. They have marketing, and they just look good saying it. And some people just have the voice, the look, and everything that comes along with selling something, even if it's a lie, even if it's a dream, even if it's not something that they're experiencing doing themselves. They just know there's money in talking about money. They just know that there's like Fresh and Fit. Oh, there's money in talking about relationships, but they have issues clearly with women, but they know everything about women. So it's like, But the people who are actually good with women, they're too busy dealing with them. The people who are actually good with money, they're too busy making it. That's typically how it goes. Rarely do you have someone who's good at something, exceptional at it, and they're able to bring that same energy and passion that someone else has all the time in the world to talk about in that particular field that they're unsuccessful in.
Right. No, I understand. I understand that. We come now. We just got a new joiner on the panel. Scam Likely. What's going on with you, brother?
What's good? What's going on?
Doing well, doing well. Do you want to say something on the topic at all? Or are you good right now?
I'm just hearing. I just got here, so I'll only be listening like 4 minutes.
Okay. All right. Now, welcome to the platform, man. Let's just let us know when you're ready to, when you want to say something. But
okay,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you could. But yeah, so yeah, I just think we really got to look at that. Yeah, because I said I watch us in action, and I said we like to take a lot of advice from folks who don't have the results that we're trying to get to. Yeah, to Vince's point, you know what I'm saying? A lot of those folks that we want to, have our ears tickled by, they just doing it is. It's a lot of pandering, females and males. It's a lot of pandering going on. It's a lot of make you feel good information. Yeah, it's a lot of delusional information, to be honest with you. And I think, let's say, as a person, if you have decided that, you want to get married and you want to find your husband and your wife, then, from my perspective, I definitely think you need to be talking to somebody who's been successfully married, especially somebody who's been successfully married for some time, right? Because this is the thing, listen, I see this a lot as well. I think we have to stop trying to label those folks who have been successfully married for a while as somehow outdated. Yeah, I watched Ace do that in the video. I think he said out of touch. And I'm not sure where that comes from. I'm not sure why we're in a mindset where we think that somebody who is married is somehow out of touch. Yeah, at the end of the day, somebody who's married currently today most likely has went through the same stuff that you're probably going through right now. Yeah, they probably have navigated the dating scene. They probably have navigated the ups and downs. They probably have had some, or as we like to say, took some L's in the past. So they probably have been there and done that. And at some point, they most likely made a decision about how intentional they were going to be as they moved forward, which is why most likely they're married now and then putting in the work to make sure that it's a successful marriage. So I think it's kind of reckless to then come back and say that those folks are somehow out of touch with how we get to a marriage or get to a successful marriage. Yeah, I've never agreed with that. And I said, I continue to see that, you know what I'm saying, in some of these conversations with this out of touch and out of date. And I think that's part of the problem. At the end of the day, once again, I think we're trying to push away the folks who probably will hold you accountable. Yeah, we're trying to push away the folks who are going to tell you the real, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, we got a lot of delusion around marriage. Yeah, I think a lot of times we think it's roses and bubbles. And that ain't what it is. Yeah, but anybody who's married will tell you that's not what it is. Yeah, it's a lot of compromise, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of putting your feelings to the side, a lot of doing what's best for the greater good. So it's not no selfish stuff. If anything, it's selfless. Yeah, but I think sometimes folks don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that real. They don't want to hear that truth. And I think that's why they try to discount those folks and act like they're out of touch with what's going on. Scam, you want to say something, man? I see you got that look, man. Do you want to get in now?
There's a few problems.
Go ahead.
When they say they're out of touch and whatever, there's a part of it that's true. There's a part of it when they say you should listen to successfully married people. There's part of that's true. Nothing's 100%. And the fact that people try to make there some kind of fixed 100%, like, I don't know. In these conversations, they make these extremes. There's 10 on this side, there's negative 10 on the other. And if it ain't 10, it's negative 10. If it ain't negative 10, it's 10, and it's a lie. Who should you listen to? The best listeners. There's a lot of people, married and single, that just talk. And it's very easy to do. 80, 90% of people just don't know nothing. So you can tell them anything and they'll believe it. And taking advantage of how people feel, this is an emotion-based world. As much as they keep saying, oh, logic. Yeah. But YouTube is the entertainment platform. Make it make sense. Really? There are married people, just like the financial industry. There are people who, with cars and rims, talking about, I got this money. Half of them are lying. And half of them don't have the money and ain't going to have the money. YouTube is an easy target. Oh, I'm married, my woman. They got the woman reading the script. I am a traditional woman and I cook everything he said. Yeah, there's a shoe print on the side of his head from last week. She kicked him in his forehead. She was cheating with, come on. And they act like people don't see through this. But to the dummies who ain't never seen marriage, and they just, you know, people just wave that marriage tag. I'm married, successful. Yeah. Listen to me. Listen to them. You're so successfully married, you should understand how to communicate and see where people's pain is, where they're off, what's wrong. They don't even ask, what are you looking for? Who are you? What's your strengths and weaknesses? Why do you want to get married? What's your relationship status? What have you learned? What have you lost? What's your trauma? What you going through now? What do you know? What do you don't know? Instead, it's just beating them to death. One thing you don't like that they said, see, that's why we's married and yous ain't got nobody. Okay. 3 weeks later, he's banging your wife. And then it's the dust YouTube space where they yelling and making videos about each other. I mean, I'm 43. I've been around for a while. Grew up in black community with green grass and adjustable basketball courts that they say doesn't exist, to the good and the bad of the church, to the military, to college, I've seen it all. Life is real. So people can say everything is some cookie cutter or whatever, but it's just not. These are actual people. But who should you listen to? Listen to everybody, but develop the critical thinking skills to be able to sort the junk. So don't listen to the cavemen. See, I'm masculine. Don't listen to it. No. The woman reading the script, the person making these fake codes. See, if you was a real man, we stick on code. No, we don't. 3 minutes later, you arguing with somebody out in the hallway. Like, listen to it all, sort the garbage, ask the right questions. But the people trying to influence, get to know the people for who they are versus trying to stuff them into a box. Everybody don't fit. That's all I got.
I had to ask real quick.
That's
my
real.
pastor,
Go ahead, Joe.
what made it was very based on the Bible, and it's very much guided. He got very little advice from anyone else outside of God himself. Even when going through his divorces, that was the big takeaway I got from that, is that even when he was going through divorce and overcoming it so he can then move forward, it was he looked to God. He didn't look to other people or listen to other people's advice, because sometimes, even with our best intentions, to sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, like Scam likely said, listen to everybody, but then have the critical thinking. I mean, try as we might, sometimes I still get got. Sometimes I can still be misled, no matter how critical thinking I'm thinking. Like, oh, okay, this sounds like it might work, and then it doesn't work. Like, damn, yeah, then you feel like a fool. But then what he did, he's like, I just go straight to God. I see it says things in the Bible. He said, I just pray, and God leads us both through our marriage successfully, in our traumas and our difficulties and our whatever we're going through. We go through it together. So he keeps other people out, and he keeps himself from looking outward outside of his own marriage, and just focuses on God and the scripture that he believes in. And so far, it appears to be working. It seems like that's to avoid all of the confusion in the world of people and their ideas and what they think marriage should be and what it shouldn't be and this, that, and the other. It seems like God is the best answer. And I think that's the most difficult. That is the most difficult part for a lot of us to face, because a lot of us don't want to go to God for that guidance. We want to kind of figure out on our own. We want to stub our toes. We want to fall on the floor and keep getting back up and keep trying and go to other people, go to anybody and everybody else except for that who created our souls, who knows us better than we know ourselves. So it's harder to do that. So when he started telling me that, I realized that was where my block was at. I said, I got to go through God, huh? I realized I was thinking that as he's telling me this. I said, ooh. He said, but this is the secret to our marriage. I said, yeah. But I said, if I'm going through that, if I'm feeling this way, then I guarantee a lot of other people, if they hear that from the same pastor and his story and how they get through, he got married in like 3 months. It was something crazy. I was like, who does that? He said, only God. It was just the pieces fell together. But everyone has to go to God for that sort of soulmate match. But a lot of people feel we much rather kind of find that match on our own, and then we find out, oh, that wasn't the right person for me. Let me do it over again. Not the right. Let me try, and then you start to get a little bitter. You start to get irritated. Now you start throwing out the women. You start throwing out the men. All of them trash, and you still haven't gone to the number one person who created your very soul, who knows who your soulmate is from the very beginning, because we just don't trust them enough to do that. But we trust everybody else except for the one who created us.
Yeah, and I understand that, Joe, and I think that's where some of the redefining comes in, right? Because I said, essentially, if you're following that path, then of course you're going down the traditional path, right? But we try to take that and we try to redefine it. Yeah, but I think because of that, we go into these situations wrong. We don't even go into these situations with a solid foundation. Then when the outcome is not what we think or what it is supposed to be, then we ready to tap out. And we ready to run the other way. Yeah, but that's where it goes wrong. We don't even start out right. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the tradition is a tradition. The foundation is the foundation. The principles are the principles. If the principles don't change just because it's 2023 to 2024, yeah, the principle is still the same. Yeah, marriage is still the same as it was back in the day. It has not changed. Yep, the concept is still the same. Yeah, but that's, like I said, that is where I think we lose sight of the outcome, or we lose sight of the long game. Yeah, we just somehow always want to alter something. And it's like, that's where it usually goes wrong. Yep, if there's no intention or serious intention behind your dating / courting, then how do you think that you're gonna get a serious relationship or a marriage out of something that has no intention behind it? It doesn't make sense. But we do that with a lot of things. I said, then wonder why, or then look dumb in the face when it doesn't go right or doesn't go as we thought it was going to go. So yeah, I don't know, but that's just what I see. I see we got a couple folks hopped up. We got piece of my mind on the panel. We got DOC or Doc on the panel. You guys want to say anything at all? You can come off mute and say what you want to say.
Sure. This is actually my first time coming across your content, so I want to say a great discussion. And very wise words and perspectives from all of you who are on here. And I'm just tuning in, so if I say something or misspeak, please forgive me. But I just want to mention that the tradition and values and maybe things of character that you all are speaking on, those things make a difference. And well, I'm sorry, you know what? I'm actually just going to be quiet. I just wanted to introduce myself, and then I'll just continue to listen. How about that?
Okay, we was gonna go ahead and let you rock.
No. Let me listen first. I'm learning.
Well, I
Sometimes you come
appreciate
in.
that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Let me go over to is that DOC or Doc?
It's Doc. Yo, what's up, man? I've been on here. I've been in your chat room for a while. This is Brian.
What's going on, Brian? Go ahead, man. You want to say something?
So yeah, I just like to. I've always been like a kind of, I hate to use the word devil's advocate on this kind of thing, but I just wanted to throw that back at you, like the differences between. I think you're right. Marriage hasn't changed, but the approach to getting there might have changed between 20 and 50. I say a man who's the same at 20 as he is at 50 is probably wasted 30 years of his life. So the dating is going to be different, right? The expectations are going to be different, especially with the outlets that we have nowadays of finding a mate, right? You got the world at your fingertips. Back in the day, all you had was whoever got the good job next to you at the plant, right? Everybody knew each other. It was a different kind of thing. Now I got to compete with Scam Likely, who might fly her out. That's a whole nother story, right? So that's a different thing because men are competing for a good woman. You're going to compete, right? And so it's a little different these days. But I'm not saying marriage hasn't changed. I'm just saying the approach to getting there has changed. Plus, like dating I can't imagine dating at 50 being the same as dating at 25, right? Our dating situation when you're 18, 19 in college, y'all all broke. There's a difference between that and when you're 40. She's going to have some expectations of where you go. Hence the Cheesecake Factory and all those wonderful things. Because people have, as they get older, you're going to have more and more expectations. Right? Chris Rock made a joke about that, right? You dated a guy when you first dated a guy who had a car. Now you don't date nobody who don't have a car anymore. Right? You dated a guy who had a house. You don't date no men who don't have a house. Right? And as you go along, those requirements get a little bit heavier as you go along. So oftentimes when I hear, so back to your point, oftentimes when I hear folks who've been married 30 years, they're like, yeah, I met her in 1986 and, we were out and I was 22 and we ain't had no money. We shared a shake at McDonald's and that's a whole nother, that ain't the same. That ain't the same when you 38, 40, 45 and you out here dating, right? She's like, share a shake. What's that about, right? So, you can't go to Applebee's getting 2 for $20 anymore. It's a different thing.
I got a question for you, Brian. Let me let Chloe go. I got a question for you. Go ahead, Chloe.
So I agree with everything Brian said. I think that's what we have to be clear, right? We're not saying that the way you date might not look different. Of course, people were going to the drive-ins. It was all different, right? Like, so the way you date a girl now, what you guys do is completely different. Like we're in the age and now people go on trips together. Like that's a date. Like it's definitely different now, right? So we understand the approach might be changing and will change, right? I'll go back to what Tony said. That stuff may change.
No.
Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
Principles of how to successfully date and how to be successfully married doesn't change, right? The way that looks for you might change. What you do might change as far as how you date that person, but the principles stay the same. How you get to the point of knowing how to date with intentions and dating with intention, that's a principle that should never change. Like the fact that we're out here just dating casually for entertainment, for recreation, for free food, for sex, like those things don't net you successful outcomes. That's what we're saying when we say it doesn't change. The principles don't change. The way you arrive there will look different for you in this generation than it did for even us, our parents, whatever, right? But the principles don't change, because when you start to say, well, maybe I can be successful by just throwing out what's been proven completely, then that's when we start to see the hiccups that we see, right? So I think that's what we're saying. As married people, we're not telling you you have to do it exactly the same way we did it. You have to date that person, go the same places, and the same lifestyle. It's not. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is these specific things, these principles, is what helped us get here. And we want to encourage you to, understand what these principles are. And we want to share those things because they're proven, right? That's the difference. And that's why just dismissing someone who's been married for 30 years is not wise, because you'll miss out on those key nuggets that are helpful. I tend to err on the same side as scam likely. Like I tend to say, listen to the conversation, entertain people's conversation, of course, listen to it, because I believe there's something you can learn from anybody, that you can learn something from anyone. That's what I believe. So, but the thing is you don't want to take everything at face value. So, like he said, you have to have discernment. Like you have to understand when somebody's just telling you what you want to hear. You have to be able to understand when somebody's just blowing smoke. You have to be able to just ascertain the difference in when somebody's being genuine and real, and they actually stand on what they're saying and they actually live it. And they're not just saying something because it sounds good, or because they're repeating what someone else said, or they don't even believe these things themselves, but it works or it sells. Like, I think that's why we say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, yeah, okay, we've been married for a while. We get that. We understand that you guys want to date different. That's not even what we're saying. We're saying these principles still apply. And if you use these principles, that your rate for success is higher. So that's really all it is.
Okay, I got Vince and I got Peace of My Mind. I saw you come off mute.
I have a question. So, should dating always lead to marriage?
Yes.
Huh.
That should be your goal. That should be the objective. You don't want to just when you have, I guess my thing, you don't want to waste energy and invest your time and resources into things that aren't going to, be fruitful in the end. So that's all I'm saying.
I know I'm married, but I don't know if I agree with that.
I was gonna say no,
because if in today's age, let's throw out having kids, because that's the major reason why people get married. They want to have children. So let's say you're a 45-year-old man who got married and got divorced, or never got married, doesn't want kids. Dating a 45-year-old woman who doesn't want kids. You're not
so
looking
you're
to
compatible
build together. Wait a minute, you're not looking to build together. You already got what you need. She got what she needs.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking to blend. You're looking to just have a good time for the few years you got. You're not looking to shack up or use each other's credit or nothing like that. You're just looking to date. You're not talking about having kids. So when you put that, I can say, why should that lead to marriage?
Okay, so well, I have to be fair when you put it that way. Hey, if that's what you know what? I don't want to. I've learned something. Don't be a black and white thinker, because what fits for me may not fit for someone else. You do have people, and I'm saying this because I work with these people. Hey, I'm retired. I done lived my life. I've done this, done that. I just want peace, and I don't even care what it looks like at this point. But I will hope that the goal is for you all to be lifelong partners. So even if it's not the, maybe signing your name on the paper, that you still are planning to be there for one another, because you're going to need one another. And I think that's the thing. Like, there's no point of having temporary people in your life and then complaining about, you know, the results of it. Like, you have to have a permanent mindset.
I understand what you said, but that's not marriage. I'm saying either you're married or you're not married. We're not talking about lifelong partners, and I'm talking about married or not married.
No, well,
Only
then
difference.
in that
Either
point, you're
you
just
married or you
dating.
not married. Partners don't matter, because I've
Right.
experienced people being in the hospital. They've been with somebody for 20 years. If you ain't the husband or the wife, you don't have no say so. So I'm saying for people who already have the things that and that I think that's the major problem. We do things out of marriage that should be in marriage. So marriage becomes less valuable. We having kids, we building lives, we building legacies without marriage. So then marriage doesn't really have as much value because you did it without the marriage.
No, marriage is very valuable, but you said dating without the intent of marriage, and that may be some people's circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to stick to.
I got a
So
question.
yeah, sorry. Go
I have a
ahead.
question too.
No, y'all go ahead. But I got a question whenever.
I think Nicole just popped in. Go ahead, Nicole.
So my question is, maybe it's easier to categorize it this way. Per decade, what is the purpose of marriage? So your 30s, what is the purpose of marriage? 40s, 50s. Considering I'm saying considering what was just said. So does the purpose of marriage per decade change?
No, I guess it. So it shouldn't. Let me say it this way. It probably does for people out here now. However, it shouldn't, because I think what's happening is, and this is a different separate show, sort of.
I'm asking a question. Like, really?
It's all good. Let's go.
Is that not a real question? I'm just
no. It's a great question. It's a great question. What I'm saying
what Bishop
is,
said, what Peace of Mind just said.
What I'm saying is because I think that when people look at marriage, they're only looking at certain aspects of marriage when they talk about the value of it, right? Like Brian just mentioned, building at 62. That's not the only reason for marriage, right? So that's just a portion of it, right? That's a portion of it, but that's not the only reason. So so first of all, you have to understand why we should be together, right? Why we should come together in marriage. You have to first understand that. Why marriage was even instituted, right? And then we have to have a conversation about the first marriage that was instituted. And that takes it back to a biblical aspect. People aren't living in that mindset. So people aren't living in the mindset of existing in a community. They don't understand that marriage is a dynamic that teaches us how to exist as people. It's a mirror that shows us who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. A marriage is a way of God being able to show us his love for us through the institution of marriage. So we don't really understand why marriage needed to be a thing in the first place. So because of that, now with our thought process, we go, well, I'm marrying to have kids and have a legacy. Well, like Ben said, y'all already doing that. So if you already doing that, then boop, that's not a concern for you anymore, right? Okay, well, I'm marrying because I want to build and we want to have generational wealth. Okay, well, if you're able to obtain that on your own, then you're going to be like, well, shoot, I already got this. So what I got to get married for to do that? And then you're just ticking off these things. So you're like, well, what's the value in it? Well, we don't really understand that stuff is icing on the cake when it comes to marriage. That if we really understood what marriage really was about, it's not just reduced to just having kids and just having generational wealth. Those things are wonderful. You should want those things. But that's not in essence what marriage was institutionalized for. That's not what it was. So unless y'all want to have that conversation, then let's just be honest about this thing. Then y'all right. It is going to look different from generation to generation because the way we looking at it is incorrect from the jump. So if that's where we at, and we don't even want to have the conversation of why we even had to have marriage as an institution to begin with, then let's throw it all out. Then yeah, you're right. Because like Brian said, at 62, you're not building no more. You got your money, you reach a certain level, especially as a man, right? You guys peak later. So financially, right? That's what I'm being told. So then if that's the case, then yeah, why would you need, like Vince said, I'm good. I'm all I want is just, some little companionship when I feel like it. And then when I don't feel like it, whatever. That's who we are. But is that good for community? No. Is that good for overall sustainability for society? No. But we don't really care about that, do we? Because we don't really have a community anymore.
We never did.
Yes, Bill. Let me let I know Scam. I know you say you wanted to go next. Go ahead, Scam. Then we'll come into peace of mind.
That's subjective. We never did. That's subjective.
No, we never did.
That's how you feel. I don't feel that way. But okay.
Go ahead, Scam. You want to go ahead and respond, man.
Just a question. Raise your hand if you were born, groomed, teenage, adult. They taught you everything you needed to know. You went to classes, got a degree in how to be married and how to have a relationship. Anybody?
There wasn't a class on it, but there were women in the family to provide examples, and not only women, but men. When you come from people, a majority of family members who are married in your household, and the elders and the people of that family value marriage and family over anything else, you see you see things in life differently.
Okay, so I'll just put it this way. Usually when I ask that question, 10 out of 10 people, it's usually silent. And that's even when I went in other countries and I ask it in Spanish, same thing. Taught how to drive, taught how to fight, taught how to work your job. But most people are not taught how to be in a relationship at all. From bad communication, from corporal punishment, and all kind of other stuff.
Yeah.
What are the expectations?
Do you know something people? Oh, sorry, Scam. I thought you were asking me a question.
No, just in general to the public. What are the expectations if most of the people you're looking at, all races, all countries, weren't taught how to be in relationships? And even ones who are looking for answers get all kind of junk stuffed into their veins. What are the expectations?
Well, I think those
either moral
should be taught in the home.
I was getting ready to say that, minding your own business.
Yes, or moral.
You've been in these homes?
Even the married homes? I've been in a lot of homes. As a social worker, I've been in plenty of homes, and I've done it for 16 years. But I also have my own home. I don't have to talk about my profession. I have personal experience too. And I can share all of them with you. I'm more than happy to, because I can tell you, and it's not all pretty, but like, you know what? We're afraid to say, and we don't want to admit it. We dropped the ball. There were things that were instilled and values that were passed down to us that we chose to, because we got so arrogant, we didn't need them anymore. We even, hey, I ain't my ancestors. We would say that in a minute as if they weren't strong. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They weren't strong. That's why they fell apart.
No, but we weren't strong. We were entitled.
No, what I'm asking is, I'm anti-traditionalist unless it's talking about principles and values. Let's put that.
Well, that is what I'm talking about, because principles and values can save your life and save the future of your legacy and your family. Principles and values and habits of character can carry you a long way. So accountability, responsibility, compassion, humility, those type of things. You know, just going fishing, that teaches you patience.
I'm not for traditionalism. I'm for principles.
Right, but those are principles. It just may sound like traditionalism, whatever. Well, you know what? Let me ask you a question. What is traditionalism?
Traditionalism, the picture, and the lie they say about 1955, all the men's were good and the women's were so submissive, and we had a community, and really it was, don't look left, don't look right. Do what people tell you to do. Don't think outside the box. Be this robotic person. and everything's going to be all right. And really, the people were living in survival mode. They didn't teach critical thinking, adaptability, real actual values, innovation. Those things weren't being taught. And there's people still carrying around these things and still carrying around some of the narratives and stuff that really wasn't what was and isn't what is now. That's why they say we had an 88% marriage rate in 1946. If it went to 15%, that tells you what the marriages really were.
But why are we still dependent on something from the 1950s? We're in 2024.
For after the 50s was the 60s, then it was the 70s and the 80s. 2024 is eventually going to be 2030. So when they ask what's wrong in 2030, you're going to go back to 2024, and that's probably going to be where the problem is.
No, I'm going to look in the mirror and say me.
That too.
That's it.
Yeah, and I'm not speaking to you specific. I'm speaking just as a whole. I don't even know your situation.
Yeah,
but I'm
me
saying
too.
when you say you're a social worker,
you know
what I'm saying if you say you're a social worker and you've been in these households 16 years, you know that there's a lot of people who had no fair chance, not even close.
No, they actually have had fair chances. Do you want to have honest conversations, or you don't want to have
fair
honest
chances?
Yeah,
really?
absolutely.
These people were loved, respected, and given an opportunity.
Yes. They have no complaints. These vets that I talk to, if anything, they don't have a fair chance now. They got to depend on the Meals on Wheels of freaking frozen dinners. These are teachers, people who have actually been valuable to the community, and nobody even come cut their grass. Hey, when was the last time you cut your neighbor's grass?
Why would I cut my neighbor's grass? You're telling me that
that's my point.
People having a fair opportunity are living in these loving households, and they got a fair shot right now. Or even in 1978.
To respond to that, Scam, I think she's touching on the principles, right? So, Lester, I know that we can talk about, some of the essentially higher level pieces of this conversation, but this conversation comes back to principles, right? So I understand, I understand traditionalism, all of those things, right? So we can take those perspectives if we choose. But at the end of the day, there were sets of principles that existed in the past. Yep, and to that point, a lot of those principles we have veered away from because we want to redefine what those principles look like. We want to make them more appealing to our new modern day palates. So we've made some changes. And based on some of those changes, is why we see some of the stuff that we see today. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we had a situation in the past where we had stronger families. Now, I'm not talking about, when we talk about just from a financial perspective or something like that, but there was more of a community mindset, which I think is why, peace of mind, brought up cutting your neighbor's grass. Yeah, there was more of a stronger relationship between neighbors. And we see the difference today. People can literally live next door to each other and not even ever speak. And see, that was a principle that didn't exist back then. Yeah, you had neighbors back then that used to speak. They was giving each other some washing powder to get each other through the day. They was asking to borrow a cup of sugar and everything else. Yeah, let alone try to go, borrow a cup of sugar from a neighbor today. They might not even answer the door. So see, I said we've tried to veer away from some of those principles that existed in our families and in our relationships. And I said that is now contributing to some of this downfall and some of this disconnect. Well, it's not some, a lot of this disconnection that we see today. So yeah, I just want to add my 2 cents in on that because I said I know for a fact that we veered away from a lot of those foundational things that kept us at a better position back then versus what we see today.
I disagree.
With what part?
There's a narrative that we're this community. Everybody loved each other and worked together. It was survival mode. They didn't have a choice. When given the choice, when people opt out, that shows you what it really was.
That's the point. Wait. That's the point. That's now.
They didn't love each other like they were saying they did.
Scam likely and Quad, y'all are saying the same thing, but you're saying it from 2 different points. I see it right now. Quad, you're saying that the things have changed since then. He's saying they have changed. He said now people are more outspoken about it. The reason why people stayed is because they were forced to stay. There was no fault divorce. There was no fault divorce. He had to be beating you. He had to be doing something to you for you. Nowadays, people. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian. I want you to finish. Go ahead.
I'm being real. I mean, nowadays people can leave. I mean, let's use, and you guys talk like pie in the sky. I'm talking about like Tia and Tamara. I'm talking about she left. He ain't beat her. He ain't do nothing to her. They still hug. They still talking. Ain't nobody do nothing to nobody, but they're unhappy and they go. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He's trying to say, and this is what one of those, like, you know, the man red pill. I'm just trying to come from that point of view, and I think one of the things is like men are saying, hey, if he's bringing home those traditions, if he's bringing home the bacon, he's not beating, he's doing all the things he's supposed to be doing. Why are the divorce rates so high? Why are people not making it as long as they did back in the day? Why is this color purpling of men of like, hey, he must have done something? No, sometimes people are just unhappy. And they stayed in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, and you have that community based on the fact that, look, I can't even open a credit card on my own without his approval. I can't own property on my own without his approval.
Well, why do y'all think that? Why do y'all think it is? Because I said I've heard these points as well. Why could it not have been a situation where a woman and a man valued their marriage?
Why is it always?
Why does it always have to be? Why does it always have to be the woman couldn't leave? The woman was getting beat up. Let's say, because I've heard these points before. Why does it always have to be
over
that?
and over and over?
I didn't go that far.
I got you.
I didn't go that far, but when given the choice,
I got you. I've heard this conversation before. Why does it
I'm not
always?
saying that he was being beat. I'm saying the women are saying that. My point
no, but I'm
is
saying
the women are saying we don't want to be married. That's what happened in the 80s. The grandmas told the daughters, you can go out there and get it on your own. You don't need a man. So we had all this out of wedlock births afterwards.
I don't know if that's completely true. I'm looking at an example of my great grandmother and great grandfather, and I had the pleasure of watching them in their older age. And I mean, they seemed pretty darn happy. It seemed like it was an agreement, both intelligent. And that's just what it was. She knew her role. He didn't complain. He knew his. I think it was still a part of an agreement. Looking at them, and I think about them all the time. But with them, a simple agreement.
I agree. Why did it change? So you guys have to come out and say what it is. What happened in 1975? Because some of y'all in Gen X. So what happened that changed? What changed?
I'm a millennial, so I don't.
Because I'm a millennial.
So am I. So I don't know.
I don't really know. I can't. I have to ask my grandma. But
oh my God!
I'm like, what?
I watched old clips of Oprah Winfrey in the 80s talking about how bad men are. You know, you guys watch those things, don't you? I mean, you were around for Ricky Lake and all of this. I'm not making this up. We have a collective childhood here of things that we remember, right? So, I mean, what happened? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get very basic level because you can't say it didn't happen. They did happen. I mean, you know, nobody said that. And I hear these things about traditional.
I mean, war.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Hold on, Brian. Brian, let me ask you a question real fast.
Go ahead.
Did your grandma tell you this?
No, my grandparents were both my sets of my grandparents were married. My parents were married for 4 years. So back to your original comment, dating, right? So I'm like the changes in dating from when I was in my 20s and the hopefulness that I had versus now is a little bit different because like as I get older, right, I've accumulated things and things like that. And so the setbacks are a little bit higher than they were when I was in my 20s. So this is where I'm coming from. And it's a place as a man. I'm just talking, you know, it's not a real valid, because when you laugh at it, it's a real valid reason why men are scared to get married is because people can leave and they can take half your stuff. I don't want to cuss on your.
We're talking about outliers, though. We're not talking about principles and
it is a concerning thing when we're talking
about all this new stuff.
One last thing.
I think what Scam was saying.
Hold on. I got too many people talking at once. I can't hear y'all. Who was that going? Was that JR?
Yeah, JR.
Let me know when I can get
in. Go ahead, JR. I know you've been quiet. Go ahead, JR. Let me let you respond.
May I go after?
Yeah, you peace of mind. You can go right after JR. Go ahead, JR, and I'm gonna go to peace of mind. Go ahead, JR.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think where people are kind of getting lost here with what Scam said was is like once upon a time, women never really had a choice. Now, fast forward to today, women have a choice. So basically, we hear the narrative things like, I don't need a man. Why is that? That's because in reality, women are making their own money. They're doing this, they're doing that. Now, we're not saying that back in the day,
Stop playing.
women.
Stop the cap.
I
Pardon?
wasn't going there, but I'll elaborate.
Well,
Pardon?
you gotta let him finish. You gotta let him
No,
finish.
she was just saying that women. Yeah, she was just saying women still need a man. They capping out here. She said they capping.
Yes, we
No, no,
do.
no.
All right.
No,
All right,
I'm not
let
saying
me
no.
let you finish, JR. My bad. I know you've been quiet. Go ahead, JR.
Yeah. Now I'm just saying, yeah, when Scam just mentioned, the date back in the 1950s, wherever it was, yeah, fast forward to now, all he's saying, yeah, there's a difference, and the difference is that there's a choice. That's all it is. Where I don't need a man, we hear that, but why is that? Because like I said, in reality, women are making their own money. They can get their own place, they can drive, all that stuff. So we hear that narrative, but with I think what Nicole said, that yeah, they still need a man. We as men, we understand that women still need men, because we don't go around here saying, we don't need women, or women don't need men.
I'm saying a little bit
So I
different.
think it's more by choice. Go on, sorry.
No, Peace. I don't want to miss her place. Peace of Mind was up after JR. Peace of Mind, it's on you.
Okay. So I'm gonna always go back to, and I'm not being narcissistic or putting it on me. And I just want maybe just 60 seconds of you guys' time to tell you why we need one another. And I've shared this story probably the past 2 years, so some of you all have probably heard it. But I lost my significant other 4 years ago to a heart attack, and I've said that many a times. But just even before that, us bringing a life and creating our daughter out of love, like she was a love story, because he knew he wouldn't be here this long. He was 35 when he passed away in the airport. He literally passed away from a heart attack, dropped dead. And so, even when I get mad and I get upset and frustrated with you all, I'm like, we're being so small minded about certain things, like we forget about the things in the background. But anyway, I'm saying that to say just the in-betweens when somebody's sick, making sure that they are on the correct dietary plan, that their pills are in the right box, that they're getting to their appointments, having to sit in hospitals, the things that some of us haven't experienced yet, and that's perfectly fine. I've also lost both my parents, so my mom and dad. Again, it's still a relationship, but I had to be the best person possible to be available to them. And so when you factor all of those things together, your spouse may be going through something with your mother or father-in-law, or whatever it may be one day. You're going to have to be available for them. And so we have to forget about the small things and just focus on the bigger picture, having things prepared in life. And there's nothing that can prepare any of us, for what we have to all face. um and I almost had this thing where I write it off as, okay, I had to pay my dues early. I'm not that young. I'm 30. I'm not. Yeah, I'm TTO. I'm not even gonna tell y'all how old I am. But I share that with you all, because within these conversations, I'm not just giving talking points. I'm also telling you, like my daughter, on Christmas, she doesn't get to see her father with the gifts and stuff, just small things, or the daddy daughter dance, and just things that we can overlook. We're figuring it out, and we're not strong. I'm not a sad story or anything, so like that's why I can share this with you all, because I'm strong enough to be able to tell it, that we have to get past this and start applying this love and compassion that we say we have for one another, because things can get deep. So what if the other person isn't perfect? At least you all can still be available for one another. You can fix things in your family, and hearts are often broken by words left unspoken. So I'm just sharing that, and that's why I decided to come up on this panel, because I kind of have heard some of the conversation, and I just wanted to give some insight. Like I said, I probably just gave you all 20 years of a story within 2 or 3 minutes, but that's my perspective. So, and excuse me if I just overshared.
No, it's all good. No, we appreciate it. Let's see, because you bring up a valid point, right? So, you know, some of these things that we talk about in these conversations, these are or can be lifelong decisions. Yeah, when we're talking about marriage, you know, when we're talking about bringing children into the world and so forth, right? But you know, to your point, sometimes we do overshadow the importance of these things, you know, with some of the irrelevant pieces. And I think that can be problematic. So you make a great point there. So now I appreciate you sharing that with us, let's say, because it definitely adds some additional needed context to this conversation. And then let's say it just highlights the seriousness of this conversation and the decisions that contribute to this type of conversation and the outcomes that come out of these types of conversations. So now I appreciate you sharing that with us. Because I said definitely adds some great context that's needed.
No problem.
I think let's see who was up next. I'm gonna get us out of here in a little bit because I said we're going on about 2 hours. Go ahead, Scam. Then we're gonna take some closing, man.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify what I was saying. I'm not red pill. I'm also not traditional.
We ain't red pill either, man.
Yeah, not with it. When I was talking about choices, just like when I was in the military, it was a 2-year contract. Afterwards, I had the option to stay or leave. I chose to leave. That shows you what I really felt about the military. I didn't go back. I was offered a full RTC scholarship. I didn't go back. You go see a movie. If they mandated, if you go in this movie, you have to stay till the end, and there's a police officer in the hallway, you're going to watch that movie. But if they say, you know what? Hey, it's optional. If you go to a theater and 80% of the people are walking out after 15 minutes into the movie, something must be wrong. I'm not saying everybody, it's not an extreme, but I'm saying if the marriage rates, when there wasn't an option, when things were different, was 80-something% and it fell to 20, something must have happened or something must have not been right. And people are having these conversations. They're exaggerating. Was everybody walking, beating each other? No. But if you look at people now, they don't like each other. And you go back, why do you hate yourself and why you hate everybody else? Go 20 years back, talk to their parents. They hate themselves and hate their neighbor. Go 20 years back from that. They was beating the hell out of each other with the belt switches, belts, extension cords. That I don't want nothing to do with that community. That's a community. They didn't have a choice to go over to the Hispanic or white community. It was survival. When they had the choice, what'd they do? They left. However much money you get, you go get the best you can and you try to survive. That's all I'm saying. Okay. If the marriage rate was really right at 80%, whatever, why didn't it go up to 90? People loved each other so much. Why not 95?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because in our community, we do the things that are not best for us.
All communities.
Wait a minute. If you look at every other community,
not true.
They're married at a higher clip than African Americans.
They do the same thing.
And they have more income. Their children do better. That's the problem. We have decided that feminism and individualism is going to work for us. And it doesn't work for any other race of people.
And may I say
it's
something?
Non-traditional that you say you're not. That's the problem. We need to be more traditional. We
Who
need
started
to be
feminism?
more committed. My grandparents were married for 50 years, and I'm a product of that commitment and tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't stay because my grandmother couldn't stay. They was making 6 figures back in the 1970s.
Who started?
They stayed because of God and love. And that's the problem. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm a very logical person. I see what works for everybody else, and I say, okay, let me implement that. Let me implement not having debt. That works for most people. Let me implement not having kids out of wedlock. That works for most people. Example. Now, I'm an older gentleman. I have small kids. I went to enroll my daughter. We did the tour. We did Cranbrook, Roper, Premier. What was the other one? Southfield Christian. All the kids' parents are married or divorced. No single baby mamas in there. These are the premier schools in the States. My neighbors, most of them are married and they're young.
That's right, Vince.
They're young. They didn't wait to get 50 years old to buy a $500,000 house. They're in their 30s. And you know what? They have outings, both sets of parents come. They have cars up and down the street. Me and my wife can't get 5 people together in our families because of divorce and all this survival that you talk about. No, we're surviving right now. We're living in survival mode right now. My grandparents had a paid off house. My grandfather didn't have to have no GoFundMe to bury him, or my grandmother. So we're living in survival mode right now where you can work your whole life, get sick, have to sell your house. I experienced it with my own single mother who could never save, who could never really get ahead. And
Vince is from Michigan. You from Michigan?
She had a good job, but if you don't know how much healthcare is, you better pay attention. It is extremely expensive, and they will make you sell everything. They made my mother sell her house. So she was living in survival mode. So this traditionalism that you say that works bad for us, I don't see that, bro. I'm sorry. We live in survival mode right now. When you know everybody talk about this, we got money, we got money. People don't have enough money for one catastrophe. People don't have enough money to pay their bills for 1 month if they don't work. That's survival mode.
But we think we figured something out, though. We figured it out, Vince. We have all the answers right now. Like we have figured it out. Like our parents, our grandparents, they stayed, struggle of. We figured it out. And here's the thing. I'm not living under any kind of delusion that it was perfect for our parents or grandparents. That's insane. It was absolutely not perfect for them. Are you kidding me? Of course it wasn't. The difference was in the definition of community is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. At that basic definition, they did have that in common. They understood that they needed each other. Men and women, they both understood that they needed each other. Neighbors understood that they needed each other. They knew they needed each other. I'm not under any delusion that they didn't understand that they needed each other. They knew it. And they were unselfish enough to say, we're going to have to make some compromises in order to make this thing work. See, a lot of what's happening right now is everybody's so self-oriented. People are so hyper-focused on their life and what works for them and what feels good for them and pleasure. People don't want to be uncomfortable, not even for 5 seconds. They don't. So anything that even looks like it could be uncomfortable or inconvenient for them, they are going in the other direction. They don't want to take risks. We live in a scarcity mindset. We are so afraid of everything.
Yep. And we demand
things that we're not afraid of. It's funny, we're not afraid of things that don't matter. We're afraid of the things that do matter. We're not afraid to go out here and start a ridiculous business. Oh, well, you got no guts, no glory. But we're afraid to start a family with somebody in a marriage because they could take half. These are very real things.
Half of nothing that you don't have.
I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying that men should not be concerned. Okay, I'm not downplaying it. I'm simply saying it's funny the things that we will risk with the less chance of a reward than the things that we will. It's just, for me, it's interesting. So I'm not going to argue a point back and forth with nobody. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I don't think you have to after that, sis.
At the end of the day, it's interesting to me when I watch human nature now, and I watch what people are willing to risk and what they're not willing to risk. And the difference is for our grandparents and great grandparents, okay, and even our parents for some of us, right, depending on what your age is. They understood that there were certain sacrifices. Yeah, yes, sacrifice. We hate that word. That they had to make in order to exist in that community. Now we could think and whatever we want to think about community, but based off that definition, it absolutely was a community. It absolutely was. You can disagree or disagree, then you disagree with the definition. But we love redefining stuff in this day and age, so that's probably why we don't think it was a thing, because we redefine stuff all the time. But at the end of the day, they absolutely existed in the community and they knew they needed each other. That was a core principle for them. I am my brother's keeper.
Amen.
We are neighbors. That's why we talk about this village mindset. It takes a village to raise a child, right? They had that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That was community. Those are some of those characteristics that they had in common that made it a community. So when we talk about these things and we go, you got to stand on the principles. That's what we mean, because everything else can change. Everything about the environment will change. Everything about rules will change. Everything about how we live today looks completely different. We get it. That's all true. Everything y'all said about that is true. That's why you have to have a strong foundation to build off of. That's what standing on principles and standing on morals does. It gives you that foundation so that no matter what changes around you, that doesn't. That's what keeps you grounded and keeps you centered. That is what we're trying to say. The problem is nobody wants to do that, because at the end of the day, y'all don't want to have this conversation. Y'all want to do what y'all want to do when y'all want to do it. And I'm not directing this to nobody on the panel. This is just what I see in general out here in the world. People want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. That's why they don't want to hear you talk about standing on principles or standing on morals. That's why they don't want to hear you talk about what we used to do that worked, tradition. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to do what I want to do. And you're asking me to sacrifice something and give up something and not do something and not feel something and not experience something. Some of y'all are not even disciplined enough with your bodies not to have sex with somebody you don't even like. I'll land, but that's what's wrong with us. That's why we can't have a community, because we cannot do what the definition said. We cannot have these characteristics in common in order to reestablish the community feeling that we had before. We can't get on the same page because I want to do what I want to do. You doing it different, and I don't like the way you're doing it, so I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna do something different.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you completely on that one.
That's it. That's it. Leave it there. Drop the mic.
Next
topic.
I do want at some point. I do want at some point.
The problem is that it's not. The problem is that it's not true.
Wait, hold on. I do want to discuss at some point what.
That's not true. Who said that's not true?
What those principles are. Wait. I do want to at some point, because we kind of did some definitions, but I want to make sure that because somebody was talking about tradition.
She's talking about boots on the ground.
Talk about that, but I think we got to really discuss what those. All I'm trying to say, I'm saying we'll do it next week. My point is I just want to discuss like a list. What I mean by that is, thou shalt not divorce unless this happens. Thou shalt not leave unless this happens. You got to have an actual written, like a real principle has to be written, and then we can do it through the Bible, or we can do it through some other method. But I'd love to go through it and discuss what those principles really are. Because some people are confusing, like you said, Scam, traditionalism and principles. Like, he's protector, provider, priest, all that. This is what the world is saying, right? So it's like, it's a thing of like, not just world, but the churches were saying. And that's what's the guy? T.D. Jakes. This is what T.D. Jakes is saying. So what I'm trying to say is that it's I think it's a conversation to have. Like, what exactly are the principles? Like, really, like. Come down with your 10 commandments from the mouth.
You know what? Let me say something right quick to my man. Let me say something right quick to Quay.
I was next.
Let me say something quick to my man Brian, because I think you're living in fear, my brother. Most women are not going to leave a good, faithful man. I would say work on your vetting. If it's about you, you got to work on your vetting. to make sure she's the right woman that you should marry or be with. Most women are not gonna. We got to take out these entertainers and these athletes and these Instagram models. Most average women are not gonna leave a good providing man.
I agree.
And if she do, replace her.
I'm not talking about me.
Hey Vince, I got a question for you.
I think. Wait, hold on. I'm not talking about me.
You guys stole my turn. What happened to ring around the rosy? Go ahead.
I was trying to bring up a topic for the group.
We're gonna come back to
the word principle, and then how do you vet? How, Vince? The good question would be, how do you vet? Right. That's what but you'd have to talk.
You know what you bet on? How I vetted my wife. First thing is that she comes from marriage. That's
yes.
If you want
that's
to
what
married, I would say find you a woman that comes from marriage.
Now you're gonna piss off some people out here, Vince.
I don't care.
I had to learn this at 30.
I don't care. That's not the point. I say find a woman that comes from marriage, a good marriage. That don't mean it was perfect, but it was good.
Right.
So a woman that values and sees her mother as a saint and a smart woman for staying with her father.
Yes.
So I think that's part of it. Don't get you no independent. I don't need no man career. I want a power couple because what you're getting is a partner, and a partner ain't nothing but a business transaction. I wanted a wife. I didn't need no partner. I had mine all together. I wanted a wife.
There's a principle. So I just want to make sure that we can talk about, because sometimes the married man, like I said, Vince, back to what you were saying a minute ago, like
now that may be true until you need her to handle some business for you.
Right.
You can't go in front of a judge for your guardianship.
But see, she's my wife first. That's above a partner. See, I'm a husband first. That's above a partner. See, we get into this whole equality.
But when you get a wife, you get a partner.
My wife is me. We're one.
Yeah, and she's gonna advocate for you.
Yeah, Vince, I got a question for you.
When you can't speak, she gonna do exactly what you needed to do because you set the plan.
Right. I'm gonna let him get this last. I'm gonna let him get this last question, and we got to get ready to wrap. So we almost said.
Wait, I didn't get
to 11.
Hey, I didn't get my turn.
Hey, Vince,
just hold on, piece of man. I said we're gonna do closing. Then you being safe, you gotta say when we get out of here. Go ahead, Scam. Then we're gonna get ready to wrap up. Go ahead.
Because you said, back in 1946 we had principles. We had good Southern brothers and good Southern women, and we was my brothers, and we loved each other. Like you said, a woman will not leave of whatever kind of man you said, a good protecting, providing man. Why'd they leave? Because we had a 20% marriage rate. They left. Why?
What generation are you talking about, Scans? This is the
all
thing,
of them.
Man. So this is the thing.
So
I'm not willing to.
Tradition didn't work.
I'm not willing to entertain this conversation anymore until I hear from a grandma and a great grandma. See,
well, mine's
gone. Right now
they
is.
Great-grandparents is gone. I could call grandma on the phone.
I'm just keeping it in the buck. Yeah, I'm just keeping it in the buck. All I see right now is a lot of.
They didn't leave. They just stopped getting married. They started having babies. They didn't leave. They just stopped getting married. The marriage rates decreased.
That's called leaving.
Never getting married. They didn't say the divorce rate skyrocket. They said the marriage rates decreased. That means they never got married. That's the difference. They weren't getting married. They said, okay, if I can have this baby,
Vince, may I ask you?
I have to be honest.
You guys took my turn.
We arguing with numbers now.
Some of
us. Vince, if you were a woman, would you marry Scam Likely?
That was question.
Don't do it.
No, Vince. If you were a woman, would you marry Scam Likely?
Well, I don't know Scam. I don't know. But wait a minute. I don't make judgments off of one conversation. Wait a minute.
KWA Price, this is why they're not listening.
Hold on a second. I don't make judgments. Wait a minute. I don't make judgments off of one conversation. I don't know Scam Likely.
Right.
I didn't make the judgment. I would marry him because somebody might say that about me. Because I can go hard. Say that about me. Because I can go hard. People be like, "Ooh, I would admit," but then when
you can say I ain't marriage material because my parents were married. So
you were the one who said it. You were
A
the
lot
one who
of us
fired the shot too.
No, I didn't.
You were the one who fired
All
off.
right, let me. Okay, we gotta take some closing.
Good night. I love you guys. I'm glad that I came up here to talk to you all. That's all.
All right, peace of mind. Peace of mind. Definitely come back and join us. We enjoyed you coming on. So definitely come back, check us out. We're here every Wednesday night.
All right, keep these conversations up, and you ladies, wonderful panel. Just beautiful to hear your voices and the things you had to offer.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, you take care there.
All right.
All right, we gotta take some closing real quick and get up out of here. Let's say it's 10:50 on this side of town. So I'm gonna hit the ladies first, hit the fellas, and we're gonna get on out here for the night. I'm gonna go to IT first. IT, you wanna say anything closing before we get out of here?
Sure. Regarding the topic title, I would say when it comes to dating, the objective should be for marriage. And it looks like the objective might change given different age ranges. But I would say just for me, the objective of when choosing to date is to be married.
Okay. We appreciate that. Straight like that. Appreciate that comment. Let's see, Chloe, you want to say anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, I would just say this. Like, I know we touched on a lot of things, and in these conversations, sometimes I know people probably don't even get a chance to completely get their points out. I just think that everything that first of all, Doc, I appreciate your perspective. Your perspective is needed because you echo what men feel like. So we don't want to discount that, right? We don't want to discredit that. Scam, also, you said a lot of things I agree with. I think that sometimes I wonder, I'll just say it this way. Sometimes I wonder if sometimes we get hung up on these particular ideals because we are experiencing them. We know people around us who are experiencing these things. So we kind of get caught there and we get stuck and we can't move past that. And I think that sometimes when we have these conversations, we're trying to find a way to be able to move past it. We understand that there are women out here, unfortunately, who have taken on such a misogynistic, I'm just gonna say it, they're misandrists. They hate men. Like, it literally is that. And we also have some men who don't like women. Like, we're operating under some trauma, and we're hurting each other, and there's just so much anger and hurt feelings that I think sometimes we get into these conversations and we don't know how to get past the hurt feelings or the trauma so that we can figure out how to progress forward. And our goal is let's have the conversations, let's talk about it because it's happening. But then let's try to talk about how do we move forward? Like, how do we get past this point of, trauma and we heal through the conversation, not stay trapped in the thing that hurt us in the first place. And I think that's the perspective that we're trying to have here, right? Because there's a lot of conversations that are happening where we're just taking shots at each other, just back and forth, taking shots, back and forth. And listen, it's entertaining as heck, but it doesn't do anything to help us move forward. So how can we move forward, right? We got to have the conversations. That's true. But what's next after the conversation? Do we just all go back feeling like we're defeated because there's nothing left to do? Everybody just, we're done? Or do we say, okay, what worked? Everything that happened in the past didn't work. We should absolutely be able to go back and grab the things that worked, and the things that honestly, truthfully didn't work, leave them. Nobody is telling you got to go back and exactly duplicate and exactly replicate what your daddy did or granddaddy did or whatever. But there were some principles. There were some core belief systems that allowed them to be able to stay in their marriages, right? And we do know there were outside influences that encouraged women to say, hey, I don't need a man, I can get this check. Or, hey, I want equal rights. I want what a man has. We know there were outside influences. We know there were whole movements to divide us as a community, to divide us as men and women. So we do know that all of those things definitely happened, and they all contributed to where we are today. So we're not ignoring them. We can't ignore them. We have to address those and talk about them. But then, okay, once we establish that those things happen, now what do? Do we stay in the cycle, or do we try to move past it? Right? Do we actually try to implement things that actually help us move past it? And for me personally, that's where I come from with my conversation, just so people can understand where I come from. That's where I'm coming from. I'm always trying to figure out, okay, I understand this happened. You're not wrong. Doc, you're not wrong in what you're saying. Okay, but how do we move past it, right? Like, let's have that conversation so that we don't find ourselves stuck. That's our land.
No, I appreciate that. Appreciate that right there. Let me go up to Vince. Vince, you want to say anything before we get out of here, man? You're mute.
Well, to circle all the way back to the topic, I do believe, as a society, that dating, the end goal should be marriage. I think it's better for our community. I think it's better for society and America as a whole. I know people say that you shouldn't draw from your own anecdotal experiences, but I have to. I use my grandparents. They lived a great life. They left a great legacy. Me and my two cousins who are married, we talk about them all the time when we get together. So there was probably no way that I probably wouldn't have got married, because I seen the benefits of marriage from the beginning to the end. And I've had a lot of experiences of people not being married or being divorced. It didn't end well. So I'm the type of person, I look at best practices. I'm just that type of person. I look at work for people and what don't work. I look at the community I live in. Most of the people are married. I look at the schools that I want my daughter to go to. More fathers than anything. I go to drop my daughter off at preschool. It's more men than anything. And most of them are married because they have wedding rings on. So I just do what works. I'm sorry. And I do believe in paperwork. I believe marriage, and I married my wife, and I set aside paperwork because I believe in paperwork. I didn't want to be, if I died, she did, I don't know what's going to happen. I got the paperwork. And marriage is the best document you can have for paperwork. So that's my take.
Okay, that's real. That's real right there. Let me go to Scam. You want to say anything before we get out of here, Scam?
Closing remarks. Don't mistake traditionalism for core values and forgot the word. Principles. Don't mistake traditionalism for principles. They are separate. Get the principles, burn the traditionalism. Some things work, some things don't. There are full stories, and the best way to find out who, what, when, where, and the most important question, why. Traditionalism is against asking questions or finding out why. People don't have a choice. They have to do what they have to do to survive. That's the lowest level, survival. People need to be in thrival, being able to communicate, adapt, grow, expand. Can't do that in survival mode. You need to stop celebrating survival mode. As it is implied, and shout out to y'all and shout out to all the married people. I actually would love for the message to be able to there's a -10 and there's a 10. And the separation actually needs to be able to meet in the middle amongst people. I'm just some dude. But there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of unrealistic expectations, and not actual people meeting people where they are to understand how they got to where they are, who they even are, before putting expectations on them to be something that you don't even know if they even wanted to be or even are fit to be. But everybody can be a better person today, tomorrow, or next week. If somebody is a 2, you can help them get to a 3. But to slam them and say, oh, the Bible said get to this 10 because of God. No, they're going to run, because the last 2 people that did and said that suckered them out of their money. People are giving the answers. Just got to dig deep and find them. But I just want to see better people. That's all I got. And shout out to all y'all on the panel.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you joining us tonight as well, man. Let me go down to Brian. Brian, you still there, man?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. I just messaged both of you guys. I've been trying to add Qua for a minute. I lived in Detroit. I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. I'm like, I used to work at Children's Hospital, Michigan. But anyway, so what I was gonna say was like, I was out there in Detroit. Let me start by saying this. I talk very quickly because in my family, my father's a lawyer. You better be able to state your case very succinctly, and then you got to stick on that part, right? You can't start repeating it over and over and over again. Okay, so that's why I hold y'all to the fire. I hold you accountable because when you say principles, you have to be able to, like Quad. Maybe he understands this with football. Okay, quarterback sits with the quarterback. I look at you, Quad. You go out. You turn left. I'm gonna hit you with the football, right? Game break, right? If I don't hit you with the football, you got to look at the quarterback, right? So that's what I'm saying. So you got to have accountability on this. Now, that's why I was like, okay, be very specific about what you're saying here. Now, when you're doing it, you should ask her if she does this. You should ask her if she does that. What kind of relationship do you have with the Lord? How do you feel about divorce? How do you These are, but you got to write it down. You got to say it out loud. Because we say, you got to find the right people with the right principles. Like Vince was like, you got to find, you got to vet better. Like, well, you have to tell men how to vet. Because most of the time, nowadays, things are they can hide it for a whole lot longer than they used to. So it's hard to really figure out who somebody is. That's why people are divorcing. I'll say it out loud. I wasn't trying to say that people are divorcing because they got choice now. I'm saying it because people know that people are not coming with their real self. They're coming with their representative. So people say a lot of things. So what do I have? What really do I have? You can't believe somebody's word, right? So that's all you got when you get up there and you guys gave your vows, 18 years ago, whatever it was, when you all gave your vows back then, you said, for better, for worse, rich or for poor. And sometimes I don't hear that from the Christian ladies. I'll be honest with you. Like they hear a whole different message than I heard about it. I'm like, the Bible's pretty red pill if you really look at it. Be honest with you. Just be quiet. Stop talking so much. Quarrelsome woman's like a quarrelsome woman. You better be on the roof than with a quarrelsome woman. It's very red pill, very specific, right, about what the order is and all that kind of thing. So when you guys are coming from this like biblical methodology, I think it'd be good to chapter and verse it because Corinthians is very specific on what this marriage thing looks like, right? Those are the principles I'm talking about, and so those are going to be very specific. I did missions before all this stuff. I was. It's not coming. It's not coming from a place of ignorance. You know what I mean? I work with. I have most of my patients' parents are single parents. So when I say this stuff, it's really is they are not getting married. Folks is having babies out here. So you really got to be real. Like sometimes when things are said, it's like, oh, you should have just vetted better. And then sometimes when I say, hey, we're concerned about getting married, I have stuff. I do have stuff. Got a little chain, and I really am concerned about. I see my coworker who's in his 70s still working because he had a divorce when he was 40. He lost half his 401k. You got to build that thing back up, right? And it's like, yeah, pie in the sky, but love. But yeah, he's 70. I don't want to be 70 working. So I have to count the cost. Biblical reference there. Who doesn't count their armies before they go to war, right? Very specific things in the Bible about how to judge whether or not something you should be doing or not doing, right? So I'm looking at it. I'm in a relationship right now. I just want to give you guys some backstory because, I think it comes from oh, he must hate women. He must. I'm like, I've been in relationships, I've been engaged. I've been. Look, I'm old. I've been through it, So, and I've been to Bible school, and I've been to medical school, and I did residency, and I've lived in Detroit. I know what it's like going down to 7 Mile and seeing all those people outside. I know, right? So I see what y'all see, but we see it differently, So anyway, my point is this: I sent the message to both of you guys on Instagram. I think you guys are great. I stir the pot. I don't know necessarily. I'm not in the same vein as Scam Likely because I'm actually a traditionalist, right? I am a traditionalist. I was raised in a traditional household. My mom really did not want to work, but they needed to, right, at the time. So I just try to tell folks that the perspective I have is that of a person who really did believe in all this stuff and trying to find someone who also believes in all this kind of stuff. And so when Vince was talking about you got to find, it took me that long to learn. You might need to find somebody who also comes from a 2-parent household. Nobody says that out loud. Y'all won't say it out loud. People won't say because you risk alienating 50% of Black folk. You risk alienating those 50%. But if I want to be married, long-term marriage, you got to have somebody who had an example other than the Huxtables. It's not a real example. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, you're gonna fight, knockdown, drag out fight, but they love each other the next day, and each day is a new day, and you stuck with this person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If they really are harming you, if you break if you have a busted leg, you might cut it off. Most people gonna keep that busted leg just so it looks good, but you got to carry that thing around with you for the rest of your life. That leg ain't good, right? It's gonna be a part of it. You're a part of me. You're a part of me. So my point is this: I'll be back because I enjoyed it. I really do. I just want to get perspective as to like why I'm saying what I'm saying, because it's like it's not that I'm not like don't want to get married. It's just like oftentimes, like my girl, and I'm not talking about her, but I'm just talking about the topic. My girl, make peace within or whatever. It's like, yeah, girl, yeah, these Negroes out here ain't doing nothing, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get it, but like some guys are actually doing some good stuff. Some guys are really doing like okay, they do have stuff, and then some of us are like, hey, maybe we're not with the right person, and so.
I got you.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure it out. So my point, I'll lay my plan at this, is that I'll come back and give you guys more perspective. My camera's not on because I'm at work right now, but I will be, next time I should be off. So yeah. I'm from the D, so y'all hear from me.
All right, shout out to the D. Shout out to the D. No, we appreciate you coming on with us tonight, man. We appreciate you coming on.
I'll leave you guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, man. Take it easy. Let me come over to JR. JR, you the last one, man. You got anything you want to say in closing, man? Before we get out of here?
Yeah, I was just gonna say thanks for having me on there once again. And a great show, chopping up with the panel. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you, like obviously, as I stated in previous panels of 728, ain't no ladies getting married out here. It's just not gonna happen because it's not happening. And the sad reality of that is that both sets of genders, are they both ready for marriage? No, because we haven't obviously attempted at it, right? But the problem is that the reason why the men don't want to attempt is because of the mindset. And like I said, when I posed the question earlier about the Tony Garden Ace metaphor, when I said which gender is leading Ace and which one is leading Tony, the one that's leading Tony is a minority of the guys that want to get married. The ones that are leading Ace are the women that are dictating the market today of what's actually happening. So if a woman wants to get married at 22, and guys would get married at 22, but they get married like, later on in life at like, 29, 30, 31. So who's actually dictating that? Having kids out of wedlock, I cannot force a woman to get married if I want to get married. So who's dictating that? She is. Having a baby or whatnot, she's dictating all that move. So, like I said, the mindset of the women today is the reason why men are, buying the rings and proposing to the women, because the mindset is just wrong. And what I mean by that is it's that what's the right mindset? Is it today's mindset that they have, or is it the mindset of the women that are married? And obviously, Quay, you mentioned earlier that you've seen videos of women talking about them being a slave for the man, right? Cooking, cleaning, or whatnot. But if we use the same definition, they require a man to work for them, right? Bringing them money and whatnot. Is the man not a slave for them? Does that make sense? So it's either we're both going to be slave for each other, or I ain't going to be your slave. It's as simple as that. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? And now when I say, if we use their terms, I understand that life is never fair and it's never going to be equal. And men understand that. You know what I mean? So I'll give you a simple example, right? If my lady decides to go out, I have to acknowledge that you're going out. Now, I'm not saying like, you have to come and get on your knees and you have to ask me, babe, can I go out? No, you're an adult. But I must acknowledge that you're going out, because guess what? If you have the choice of not telling me not to go out, for you to go out, right? Where you don't respect me, why must I now have to go and lay my life down for you if something happens for you? Because you don't respect me. So I'm not going to lay down my life. So that's what I mentioned earlier. about choices, right? Ladies have been given so much choice that it's giving men the choice to also opt out. Hence why it's murky waters.
You done? You done there, Jr.?
Yeah, I'm done there. Yeah, I'm done there. Yeah.
So okay, so let me respond. Let me respond to you on this one.
Thank you.
So this will be a double response. I guess this will apply to Jr. and Brian. Let me say it like this: we giving the ladies too much power. Yeah, but what I mean by that is as men, and I'm gonna go back to what I always say: we set the tone. Yeah, it doesn't come down to us having to force a woman. It doesn't come down to us having to push a woman to do anything. As a man, you move in your purpose. Yep, if that woman has the correct mindset, she's gonna want to move with you. It's just that simple. Yeah, we're giving away too much power as if somehow we can't continue to do what we do without without the I guess the piece from the woman, right, or permission from the woman. Yeah, but that's not how we supposed to be moving as men. Yeah, so I said I think that's one thing as men that we have to change. And I said I know this is kind of off a topic to a certain extent, but I continue to hear that. Yep, and as a man that's on his purpose and moving to his purpose every day, all day, you have a lot more power than you know. Yep, and trust and believe the woman that is in the correct mindset, because even, going back to one of the points that Brian made, when he was stating that a man should be looking for a woman that comes from a two-parent household. Even that, to a certain extent, can be skewed. What a man should be looking for is a woman with the correct mindset. Yep, her background or her foundation can be one thing, but she also could have had exposure to people who knew better.
Amen.
She could have had exposure to grandparents and aunties and everybody else who knew better. And she may have made a choice to say, just because I didn't come from a two-parent household, I know I need to be moving differently. And this is how I need to be moving because I am ready, or I've done the work to become or be ready to be a wife. So we should be looking for people with the right mindset. That is the key. It's not just these foundational pieces that we want to associate that to. It's the right mindset. And that goes for the men as well. As women, you should be preparing yourself to be a wife and marketing yourself to men with the right mindset. In turn, that man will recognize that you have the right mindset and he will find you. Yep, that is where this whole point comes from of he who finds a wife has found a good thing. That's where that comes from. But it's about the preparation and it's about the mindset. Yep, that's the key. That's the piece that we cannot continue to overlook because that is the piece that is the foundation of successful, long-term, sustainable relationships. It's all in your mindset. Yeah, but this is going back to the original video that Tony was talking about to Ace. Yeah, we want to go out here. We want to do all these different things. And essentially, we want to veer away from the correct mindset. Yeah, we want to be selfish now. We want to only focus on self. We want to follow the trends. We want to do what's popular. Yeah, we want to live in this social media world and live in this delusion. And that stuff skews and alters your mindset. Then we want to come back to a relationship that we want to be our foundation as we get older with that same skewed mindset. And then wonder why it ends in divorce. Because your mindset is off and you didn't go into it with the right mindset. So that's the missing piece. You focus on your mindset and your purpose. That's going to put you with the right people. Simple as that. But that's my closing. So, man, shout out to everybody who joined us tonight. Shout out to everybody on the panel. I don't want to miss anybody. Chloe, Nicole, Vince, Brian, JR. Let's see. Joe was on her earlier. Scam Likely. Sorry about that.
Chloe, can I just say something quickly, please?
Go ahead. Then we out of here, JR. You hold me up.
Yeah, quick one. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Yeah, because we shouldn't be holding you up. The show should be even longer, or should be getting extra shows during the week, man. Come on now. You know what I mean? That's why I ain't happy with you two. Come on, man. Yeah.
I think we need a Konvos after dark.
No, we're like I said, somebody said we got to do this in a series. So we might touch this or a little subset of this conversation in another show. So I'm gonna write this down, let's say, because I think there's a lot to this that we didn't get into today. But go ahead, Jared. I know you want to say something real quick. Then we got to get up out of here, man.
Oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, that's all I just want to say. That was it, yeah.
Oh, I got you.
I would like to see if we do this as a series. I think that Brian made a valid point when he said, well, if men need to know how to vet, then, what does that actually look like practically speaking? If we tell women they need to pick better, then what does that actually look like practically speaking? Instead of just dropping the one-liners of pick better or vet better, what does that actually look like? I think that should be a real conversation that we have, because if we're going to talk about moving forward, if we don't want to actually give people real tangible things, then we would just be like everybody else, just saying a bunch of stuff.
I think that's great. I think that things to look for, the red flags to look for, I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, listen, we can I'm always down to have that conversation. So no, I'm taking notes right now, so we're gonna touch that.
Yeah, do it for the millennials, go ahead.
I got you. All right, we have
thank you.
Oh, that last name was piece of my mind. Sorry about that. I wanted to shout her as well. She was on the panel. All right, we got to get up out of here. Shout out to everybody in the comments as well. Shout out to YouTube and Facebook. Everybody, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button. Likes are free. Hit that like button for us. Hit that like button for us. Man, this is Kandid Konvos. A shout out to everybody in the comments. We got a whole bunch of comments. I can't read all the names, but I appreciate you guys holding us down in the comments and supporting the platform and the show tonight. Shout out to, I said once again, YouTube and Facebook. This is Kandid Konvos. We do this show every Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go live on YouTube and Facebook, so like, share, subscribe. Do me a favor, next time you join us, bring a friend with you. Let's say we want to get these great conversations out to as many of our people as possible. But man, with that being said, everybody have an awesome night. We're going to catch you guys next Wednesday.